What's up? What's up? Add a little spice, add a little extra spice to the stream. I want to add a little extra for y'all. We making some changes. We making some admin changes around here. Got a little intro video. We're working on a couple things. Make it a little more exciting, you guys. Listen, welcome back to the channel. This is Real Nathan Daily, and I appreciate you guys tonight. We're gonna have a great conversation. As you see the news, our boy Jonathan Majors is fired. They dropped him. Boy, they dropped him. They dropped him. And listen, there's a lot. There's a lot we got to talk about. And you guys, listen, as a former law enforcement officer, I've investigated domestics. I'm about to school you guys on these charges. This is some BS. I'm gonna just be quite honest with you. But we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna dive into it. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I appreciate you. Please hit the like button as you come on in. And yeah, we got a lot to talk about. A lot of feelings gonna be hurt tonight. I already know it. We're gonna hurt some feelings tonight, and I'm gonna want to hear from the ladies. I'm gonna want to hear from the ladies in the chat in reference to this case, because it talks about a lot of double standards. A lot of double standards as it relates to the criminal justice system, as it relates to charges against men versus women, as it relates to domestic violence. And let me be very clear, domestic violence is a real thing. We already know that. And if you or someone you know or someone you care about is going through domestic violence or suffering from domestic, please get help. Please talk to somebody, contact someone, get the help you need, consult with others, remove yourself from unhealthy situations, and don't wait until it's too late. All right, so let me just say that if you guys are new to the channel, please go and check me out on the other social platforms, Instagram, TikTok, at Real Nathan Daily. Please, by all means, I would appreciate it. And let's get into it, right? Because again, there's no need to really drag it out, because this has been a very, very, very crazy case. It's been a circus in this courtroom. For those who've been keeping up with the trial, it wasn't made public, so we couldn't hear everything. But I'm gonna be quite honest with you. Jonathan Majors is found guilty. I did a video over the weekend saying that he's not guilty, because he's not. Based on the charges that he was charged with, he is not guilty, you guys. I think it's very amazing how New York pulled this rabbit out of their hat. And people are saying at the end of the day, the jury decided, right? And a lot of people are confused about this being taken to trial because they're like, hey, these are misdemeanors. No, there were some felonies in there. Remember, his initial charges were strangulation, right? That's what this whole initial thing was: harassment, I think aggravated harassment, and strangulation. Okay, these are felonies in New York. And so yeah, so he has a trial. He has a jury trial. The jury is looking at these cases. Who failed him? Right? Why is he found guilty? Who failed Jonathan Majors? And even after this, you guys, he's fired from Marvel. Millions and millions of dollars this man is out of. Who's at fault? Who's responsible for this? You guys, I'm gonna tell you who's responsible. He is. He's responsible. He's absolutely responsible. And we're going to talk about why that is. And we're going to talk about the charges. I'm going to pull up the code section for New York penal codes. We're going to talk about what he was found guilty of. All right. He was found guilty of assault in the 3rd degree. And then he was found guilty of harassment in the 2nd degree. All right. So we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it. This is crazy. This is crazy. Anyways, so for those who don't know, let me give a quick recap of kind of how this all broke down. I did a video about it, and I just want to give you a quick recap. And I'm going to talk about this. Okay, the incident happened in March. He's in a cab. He's on his phone. His girlfriend at the time, Jabari, sees a text message that she doesn't like. She gets mad. She tries to take the phone from him. He tries to prevent her from taking the phone. They get into a scuffle back and forth. You guys, right then and there, the moment you touch another person and it's unwanted, whether you're in a relationship or not, you can't do that. All right, that's the violation number one on Jabari's part. She touched him. She tried to take his property without his permission. That's a crime. You can't do it. One, that's attempted theft, and that's assault, right? So now they're going back and forth. During that exchange, Jabari alleges that she was struck and her hands were put behind her back, right? There was a level of aggression that was used in order for him to get her off and then get his phone. He gets out the car. She tries to get out the car in the middle of the street. He picks her up, tries to put her back in the car. I think this happened about twice. All right. For those who've seen the video, this is the infamous video with him running away from her. Okay. Now he's trying to walk away. She's following him, grabbing him, tearing his jacket, buttons are off. You see him, kind of pushing her back. He's doing that thing. Listen, I said this all the time. This is how men are taught to deal with women who are being aggressive to them, because we all know the idea that as men, we are stronger physically, and therefore the woman is always looked at as the victim. Okay. She's always looked at as she's frail. She can't hurt a man. And therefore, you're just supposed to hold her still. You're supposed to just hold her down, pin her down, don't hit her back, call the police. That's what you're supposed to do. That is the unwritten rule that is taught to men by other men and also by mothers who are raising young men. They tell you do not hit women back, hold them down, pin them down, or walk away. Those are your instructions as a man. Now, in this case, what you see is someone who is holding her down, trying to restrain her, put her back in the car, pushing her off, not striking her, not that we can see from what we could see. Okay. And I'm saying all this because this matters, because ultimately this is what he's found guilty of. He's found guilty of the all right, let me slow down. Let me slow down. You guys, I'm upset because he's being charged with a crime that in actuality, when you look at the charge, it doesn't make sense. Okay, it doesn't make sense. This isn't the spirit of the law, right? This is a term we use saying that the intentions for this particular law is being manipulated in order to convict him, in a sense, right? I'm gonna explain all that. And you guys, I'm saying this as a 13-year law enforcement veteran. I've investigated plenty of domestics, as you can imagine, hundreds of domestics, all types of domestics. It's part of a domestic task force, our domestic advocate as well. So I take these charges really, really seriously. Now, what happened? He pushes her off. He starts running, sprinting for his life. That's what we see in the video, right? He pushes her off and he starts running, right? He's flying down the road. We saw the video. What you probably didn't see is then he's walking back to his penthouse, and Jabari is there talking to three strangers, two males and a female. All right, they're having a conversation. What you don't see is Jabari having a conversation telling her that Jonathan, assaulted her. They got into a fight, and she saw some things on his phone and so forth and so on. Jonathan decides to walk past. They have a conversation. He's kind of like, I don't even want nothing to do with it. He leaves, and then he goes to another hotel. He stays there overnight. Jabari goes with those three strangers, and she goes to the club that night, right? All the while, she's supposed to be having some injuries, an injury to her finger, it's fractured, and a laceration behind her ear where she's saying she was struck at. All right. She goes to the club. She's living her best life. She's out until like 3, almost 4 in the morning, and she's utilizing her hands. The hand is supposed to be injured. No one is seeing any blood. The witnesses who were talking to her at the scene said they didn't notice any injuries to her face or to her ear. They didn't see any blood. Okay, this is what was testified in court. All right. The next morning, Jabari is passed out in the closet, and Jonathan Majors is locked out of his penthouse. He tries to get in. He can't get in. He contacts the bellhop. The bellhop takes him up to his place, lets him in. He goes in. He sees Jabari knocked out in the closet without her pants on. Okay. She's unconscious. Jonathan said he was texting her and concerned for her safety because he broke up with her that night. So he felt that she was probably going to self-delete. Okay, this goes into the bigger premise of why this is such a serious conversation that we need to have. He was concerned she's going to self-delete. Okay, so why are you concerned that she's going to self-delete? What that tells me as someone who's experiencing this is that this is not only an extremely toxic and unhealthy relationship, that your first inkling of what she's going to do after the breakup is take her life. That to me says all that I need to know. And again, as you guys know, the text messages were made public that they had in conversations that they had amongst each other. We know phone recordings were made public. You guys, all these things tell a story about the type of relationship they had. Okay. This was a toxic relationship. And for a man of his status and a man of his wealth, and even her status, she was a model, popular model, so forth, and she had her own career as well. This was such an unhealthy relationship for both of them. They both were mutually responsible for this toxic relationship. All right. They both played a role in it. Okay. So this isn't just some innocent woman who's this, that, and the other. No, there was a lot of manipulating and a lot of gaslighting taking place on both sides. All right. So what happened? He sees her in the condition that she's in. He goes downstairs. He goes downstairs and he calls the police. Tells the police that he's concerned about her condition and doesn't understand why she's in the condition that she's in, but he's afraid for her because he believes that she's going to self-delete. The police show up, you guys, and this is the kicker. The police show up. He takes them up to the room. He's like, "Hey, this is what happened. I showed up. We got into an argument last night, and then here she is." All right. It is standard procedure that you separate both parties when investigating a domestic, so you can hear both stories separately. Well, they heard both stories, and again, they didn't release the full body cam footage of the investigation. But what we do know is that there was it was insinuated that the police tried to coach her into confessing that he assaulted her. Okay. There was a coaching from the police's standpoint on Jabari in order to get I guess one could argue like a false confession. Okay. That's what was going on when this initial thing happened. But of course, we didn't see the video. All right. But that's what the attorneys were saying, that the police were coaching her into confessing that Jonathan Major caused injury. She was saying that she couldn't remember what happened to her, right? Like she was out, she came back, she doesn't know how she got the injuries. Well, unfortunately, guys, in a domestic case, this is not uncommon for one of the victims to want to protect the suspect, all right, or the abuser. That's not uncommon. So as officers, we know this. And so, it's like, "Hey, how'd your eye get blacked?" "Oh, I hit my head on the doorknob." I'm like, "Okay." "Oh, where'd you get the lacerations on your neck and the markings?" "Ah, I tripped and my shirt got caught on the stairwell." You guys, that's a real story. You'll be surprised at things that I hear. "Hey, sir, how did you get the bite marks on your hand?" "Ah, my dog." "Sir, those are teeth marks." "Those, sir, I'm not an idiot. Those are teeth marks. And where's the dog at?" Right? So it's not uncommon for abusers and victims or mutual abusers to try to defend their partner because they don't want them to go to jail. This is common. So when they're hearing her story, of course, they're probably like, "This is BS." And then you look at Jonathan Majors, again, this is 6 foot guy. He's stocky, he's built. So of course they're looking at, nah, I'm not buying it. Okay. Her finger fractured, laceration behind the ear. She goes to the hospital. Even the medical doctor says that this injury behind her ear, it's not consistent with someone who's been slapped in the side of the head. Okay. Because she's saying she was struck in the face by Jonathan Majors. And in that strike, the back behind the crease of her ear is lacerated. The medical doctor says, no, that type of injury is consistent with a laceration by a sharp object. Okay. And the fractured finger in the middle. All right. When did she get these injuries? Because at the night of the club, it did not seem, or based on how she was moving, there were no injuries. And you guys, for those who have seen or work in the medical field, obviously I've seen a lot of people injured in this career. Injuries to the face bleed, and it bleeds bad. Okay. You could get cut above. I got cut in the eyebrow and you thought I'd split an artery. Okay. So anything in the ear, believe it or not, the ear lacerations, they bleed heavily. There was no blood in the back of the cab seat when this assault allegedly took place. All right. There was no blood noticed on her clothes, on anything. Even the witnesses who went to the club with her said, no, there were no bleeding. Nobody knows where she got these lacerations from. This could have been an old injury reopened for all we know. This could have been a self-inflicted injury for all we know. There are victims or people who claim to be victims of domestic violence who will self-injure themselves in order to manipulate or gaslight the another person. I've worked cases where mainly you see this with women where they will inflict harm on themselves and then accuse the man of being the abuser. You guys, it happens. It happens. And too often when they're caught, they're not held accountable. That's just what I've seen. Okay. That's just what I've seen. Listen, we're just talking about the facts. All right. So anything is possible. They could not prove when, at what point in time she received those injuries, just based off of the evidence, the physical evidence. How did Jonathan Majors get found guilty? You guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I believe his attorneys dropped the ball. The attorneys dropped the ball. And I'm going to tell you why. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into that. All right. Jonathan Majors goes to jail, okay, behind the accusations based on the officer's view of the evidence. Now, here's the problem. Jonathan Majors is at the scene. The issue I have is the bias investigation from the officers. Did they not see the injuries on Jonathan Major? He had injuries to his arm, he had lacerations to his face, his cheek. Okay, so he had signs of a physical altercation. And again, they had the evidence of the video. You guys, in situations like this, um, there have been plenty of times when you get stories where the initial or primary aggressor admits to being the aggressor. And this is the problem with this case because she admitted to it. Where there's problems in this case and this investigation are the text messages. The text messages. The text messages were brought into this case, and they are very, very damning evidence against Jonathan Majors for a couple different reasons. One, you read the text messages and you can hear and see where he's willing to manipulate her in order to get a better outcome for himself. What do I mean by that? Okay, we've all saw the text messages and he's talking about the injuries. Don't go to the hospital because they're going to assume the worst. They're going to think they're going to investigate. What is he talking about? He's talking about how this game works, you guys. Anytime children, men, women, they come in with suspicious injuries in the hospital, the police are automatically called. You can't go to the hospital with a stab wound and the police don't show up. They are obligated to make a call to the law enforcement to investigate why you have a knife sticking in the outside of you. If a nurse sees you and something doesn't look right, you got an injury that's not consistent with your story, you guys will get called. We get called. I go to the hospital all the time and investigate these things. All right. I got stories. I got stories of suspicious people having things sticking out of their rectum, and I get called to come look at it to make sure someone wasn't being abused. Okay. So listen, I got stories. That's one for another one. All right. This brother had a toilet brush. All right. Another story for another day. All right. But we get called out. Side note, that was in reference to some BDSM the guy was involved in, and they thought he was, so we ended up having to go to the house and look at it, come to find out he was getting tied up and they went too far and this toilet brush got stuck in his sphincter. Okay. For those who know what that is. All right. Anyways, another story, another story. So this is not uncommon for us to go and investigate. So here we are. Bias investigation. Jonathan Majors is charged. They had video and evidence that supported his case. They did not put it out. They trashed and destroyed his image, right? Obviously, he lost deals after deals after deals behind these allegations. Before he was even found guilty, he had already suffered public opinion. They released text messages, they released conversations and issues of the past to try to justify the present. Um, and it's sad, right? He was destroyed publicly before any of this stuff came to a complete, utter understanding of what all happened, right? What is the problem here today? The problem here today is what he was charged with. All right, and we're going to go over what those charges mean, what he was actually convicted of, because at the end of the day, the jury had some type of confusion. And anytime the jury is confused, that means the prosecutor or the defense did not do a good job, right? They did not do a good job. Again, this case got so much publicity behind it simply because of who he is. There was a voice recording that was played to me. Jabari recorded a conversation that Jonathan Majors and her had. that obviously she wasn't pleased with. To me, all that showed was a woman who was looking to collect as much evidence as possible to use against him, and here we are, right? Here we are. She used it against him to try to paint a particular picture of him being one, a narcissist, one being controlling. Now, here's the thing about this case. I'm not saying he's not. Honestly, I do think he abused her mentally, psychologically, and I believe she also abused him mentally, emotionally, and psychologically as well. Honestly, you guys, what I see from this case, I see two damaged individuals, two unhealthy, emotionally unstable people who were in a relationship together. Much like probably some of us watching this stream today. We've all been there. We've all been there. We've all been with someone who has brought the worst out of us. You guys, that's what I see in this. There are people in this world, you will be with them and have relations with them, and they will bring out the worst side of you, the best way possible. They find a way to do it. In this case right here, reading these text messages, they both accuse each other of wanting to self-delete. You guys, that is manipulated tactics 101, right? That's narcissistic, that's ego driven, that is controlling. And when you have someone who tries to turn themselves into a an emotional victim, "Oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do anymore. You're mad at me. I don't think I want to wake up tomorrow." Okay. That is controlling, you guys. That's gaslighting. And both of them did it to each other. Jonathan Majors is a man who was on the rise of Hollywood greatness. And he stayed in a very, very unhealthy relationship. And this is a lesson to a lot of men out here who don't understand that a woman's word holds way more weight than yours in the criminal justice system. And a woman's words can be leveraged against you in the criminal justice system. And what we see in this particular case is a woman who admitted that she was wrong, admitted that she was the primary aggressor. The evidence suggests that. And the man was still found guilty. You guys, what was he guilty of? What they say he was guilty of? All right. Let me pull up the penal code for this and let me show you how crazy this is. How crazy this is. The first charge that he was found um guilty of is New York Penal Code 120-00. This is assault in the third degree. What does this mean? Assault in the third degree. This is this is intentionally physically injuring a person, or you injure a third party person when you intended to injure another person, when you recklessly injured another person, you negligently injured another person using deadly force or dangerous instrument. Um, this is considered a misdemeanor. All right, this is what he was charged with: assault in the third degree. Why is this a problem? What they're saying is, Jonathan Majors, in the midst of him dealing with her, right? Trying to push her off, trying to get her off of him, trying to run away, in the midst of him defending himself, right? Which the New York law says that you can use force to defend yourself against force, right? That's a law. If someone's committing crime against you, they're trying to take something from you, the law in New York allows you to use force to defend yourself, right? So that's a fact. What they did with this law, which I think is the incorrect usage of this law, what they're saying is his reckless nature, right? His reckless behavior when dealing with her caused her injury. Okay, that's the so let me explain it. Let me explain it and break it down. The issue is that while he was trying to separate from her, while he was trying to get his property back from her, she was injured in the process, so he's being charged because of it. You guys, that is bullshit. That's bullshit. And that's not the spirit of that law, right? That's what I mean. That's not the spirit of that law. That's not the intent usage for that law. So it has been used, in my opinion, inappropriately to charge him. That charge is when someone is recklessly doing something reckless and someone gets injured because of it. Then you're charged with assault in the third degree. That means you're doing something stupid, intentionally or unintentionally, and someone got hurt. Okay. We're playing a game and I push you too hard, aggressive, you fall, and hit your head. I can hit you with assault in the third degree. This case is a domestic violence case where someone was assaulting one person and he was trying to get her off and get his shit back, and she got hurt in the process. You guys, that is what we call collateral damage. You got injured in the process of trying to take something from someone else. You don't charge me for that. I shouldn't get charged because you got injured for me defending myself. So all this going on, shifting and shaking going on, and you got hurt. Okay? You got hurt. And not only that, we can't even confirm where you got hurt because all the witnesses suggest that you weren't injured during the time you're saying you were injured. You can't prove it. So I blame who? The attorneys. Why do I blame the attorneys, you guys? Let me go to the second charge. The second charge, which is some bull, this right here. Woo, this right here. Let me tell you, this is crazy. The second charge is harassment in the second degree. All right. Guess what? This is not even a crime. Harassment in the second degree is a violation. I don't even know what that means. New York, listen, you guys, listen to the fellas. When you move places, you guys, let this be a lesson. Know the laws when you're moving to. Wherever you're living, know the laws because New York's laws are off the chain. All right. Let me tell you why this is crazy. You guys don't remember that case with the bodega? I think he was a Dominican guy. He was in a bodega. He was the owner, and there was a man who assaulted him, came behind the counter and started beating him up. And the owner ended up shanking him. He gave him that pokey. I call it the Pokemon. He gave him that Pokemon. He hit him twice in it, and the dude bled out and he died. And they charged him with murder instead of self-defense. Right? New York is funny like this, you guys. New York is funny. Their laws are funny. You know, these are blue laws. I call them blue laws. They don't make sense. All right, they don't make sense. But anyways, let me explain to you why this is an issue. They call this a violation, but it's not criminal. The way New York works, according to this, is that you could be charged with a violation and it doesn't show up on your criminal record. Okay. In Georgia, it's not like that, you guys. Anytime you get arrested, we put you in handcuffs and you get fingerprinted, that shit's on your criminal record. All right. That's history. We call that criminal history. We don't waste our time and put you in handcuffs and send you to jail and then it doesn't get documented on your history. According to what New York law is, if it is a violation, it doesn't show up on your criminal record, according to what I'm reading. All right. If anybody knows different, please clarify. But this is what he's charged with: harassment in the second degree. Harassment in the second degree states, let me see. Okay. Harassment in second degree. Practically speaking, however, must New York violation charge result in time served, sentence. First degree. Where's harassment in the second degree? I just had it up. Okay. Under New York penal law, section 240.26, a person is guilty of harassment in the second degree when with intent to harass, annoy, or alarm another person. 1, strikes, shove, kicks, otherwise subjects such other person to physical contact or attempts to threaten to do so. Okay, so basically what they're saying is harassment in a second degree simply means that when a person strikes, if you assault somebody physically, you make contact with the person or you threaten to make contact with them, right? You threaten them. You threaten to harm them. Another subsection 2 is follows a person in or about a public place. This technically, you could argue that Jabari should be charged with second degree harassment because he said, I want to get away. I want to walk away from you, and you're trying to follow me. Okay. I'm trying to get away from you, and you're chasing me. Technically, Jabari should be charged with second degree harassment because she was the initial violator. She was the initial person to make physical contact, and she admitted to it on the stand. So here's the thing. She asked for his phone. He said no. She took it upon herself to take it from him, and then he snatched it back. And in the process of me snatching my shit back, you got injured. Cuckoo cuckoo. That's all on you, right? That's your fault. I get charged because you got hurt trying to take my things. And then when I don't want to be bothered with you and I try to get away from you, you chase me. You guys, they charge him with what they should have charged her. This is a circus court. This is a circus court. All his charges technically is what she should have been charged with. It's hard out here for a man. Ladies, you are seeing this in real time. Now, listen, I'm not saying he hasn't done things in the past. I'm not saying he's not a manipulator. I'm not saying he was wrong or he wasn't wrong. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about what happened in the car. Some of y'all want to talk about what happened last week. We're not on last week. We're not on last week. He has lost everything that he worked for, all because he picked wrong. Fellas, I say it all the time. You need to properly vet these women, especially when you have a lot to lose. You can't be out here throwing your wood around like a woodchuck. You can't be out here throwing your seed around like a farmer. You just can't. This is the double standard. The double standard is if a woman says you did it, bro, you did it. You were guilty until proven innocent. It's not right. It's not fair, but that's how it's been working. You have men that are in prison still today behind a lie that a woman has told. You got brothers missing out on the NFL career, jobs, careers in general behind messing around with a woman who's lied on them. Chasing ass all day. Someone's talking about the Michelle Obama quote and the Coretta Scott King quote, and black women lost their mind. Black women lost their mind behind it. He's having a conversation with, here's the thing, people are saying this about race. This about gender. This about gender equality. Y'all trying to make this about race. This is about gender equality. That's what this whole thing's about. Oh, it's because she's a white woman. She's a white woman. That's why he's going through this. It's because she's white. This is about gender inequality. Thank you. I want to hear someone try to make this argument about race. You know why it's not about race? Because black women have done the same thing to black men, and all the time, I've seen it all the time. I've seen the exact same things happen when it's black man and a black woman. You guys, this is about gender. This is about the idea that a man is always supposed to walk away, put his hands over his head, get slapped in the face, get punched in the face, get kicked in the groin, and turn around and walk away. He's being charged because she got injured They're saying his actions on dealing with her was reckless. That he could have restrained himself more. That's what this is about. He's being charged because he wasn't restrained enough. The jury made a moral decision, not a legal one. And that fault is his attorney's. Why is it his attorney's fault? The attorney's job is to argue the facts. The attorney's job is to argue the facts and address the elements of the crime. They know what he's being charged with. You spend your time trying to make your client look like a good person when you need to be focused on the facts. What are the facts? He's being charged with second-degree harassment. He's being charged with assault. Focus on the facts. Focus on the facts. Because the juries, a lot of them are retarded. A lot of the juries don't know anything. Sometimes some of the most ignorant people sit on the jury. Your job as an attorney is to talk to them like they're 2-year-olds. Make it make sense. You're spending your entire time trying to explain to the people why Jonathan Majors is not a person who is a big bad bully, abuser. Nah, fuck that. Your objective is to argue the facts as it relates to the elements of the crime. Prove to them that the elements don't match. For them to come back and find him guilty of reckless assault, and he's not the primary aggressor, his attorneys failed. You guys, I could have argued that case. I'd have been on closing, shutting it down on closing. I'd have shut it down on closing. You mean to tell me my client's going to be guilty of her receiving injuries while he's trying to get his property back? You mean to tell me that my client was reckless in the amount of force? This whole thing, basically, he's being charged because he used too much force to defend himself. That's what the charges are. And the assault charge is the simple fact that he touched her. I didn't want to touch her. I had to touch her to get my shit back. And she got hurt. Allegedly, because she was at the party, she was at the club turning up. And the witness said they saw no blood. Did the officers collect her garments from the night before? Did they even collect her property? Because you got cut on the ear and I don't see no blood on the collar. You lying. You lying. And the absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. Right? The absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence, you guys. Poor investigations. The attorney. Listen, you guys, I've been getting hired as an expert witness for police policy, procedures, and use of force. They could have hired me. I'd have told you the officers did a horrible job. I would have questioned the investigation. Biased. The officers just took her word for it because she's a woman. They collected no evidence. He said he didn't assault her. Okay, did you go about trying to prove that he never assaulted her? No, you assumed he was lying because he's a man. Some say, well, because he's a black man. Listen, I've seen officers do it to men of all races. Stop getting caught up on them colors, man. I'm telling you, because you're going to miss it. Some of y'all, all you can see is color. That's it. Everything's not about race. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I'm saying if that's all you focus on, you're going to miss the big picture. The big picture is a woman's tears oftentimes distracts men, even men, police officers who are investigating. Sometimes a woman's beauty distracts men. Sometimes a woman's beauty, sometimes men being envious of other men distracts them in their investigation. You become biased. You become biased. You have prosecutors who become biased. You have judges who become biased. And they will hold you accountable. They enforce the law. They investigate crimes through their biases, you guys. I'm telling you, this is a fact. There are men who come to these domestics and they can't separate themselves. Oh, I can't believe he did that. Sir, it didn't happen. And that she's lying. I could tell you so many cases women have either lied or exaggerated the truth. Exaggerate the truth. And when all the evidence is piled up against a woman, 90% of the time, the men say, I don't want to press charges. See, women will press charges and then change their mind after 48 hours. They'll change their mind. But guys, once we show up, that's it. She didn't have to give those text messages out. She didn't have to give a phone recording. Ma'am, that's violation of my privacy. There was no abuse going on when you were recording that conversation that we had. I was scolding you. I was checking you because you showed up in the house drunk and intoxicated. I was calling you out saying you messing with the bag. What did Jonathan Major say? If you're dating me, if you're in a relationship with me, guess what? You can't carry on like that. Where did Jonathan Majors go wrong? He should have dropped her the moment he realized she can't stay on code. You know she has a drinking problem, Jonathan. And you over here giving her a speech, Jonathan, about how she need to conduct herself as a woman who's with a great man. Okay? Let's talk about Jonathan's ego. I'm a great man. Sir, if you have to tell a woman you're a great man, you're not a great man. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, that man's abusive. Jonathan Major is abusive and he's controlling. And he's a gaslighting expert. And it doesn't help that he's an actor. He's an actor. That is an abusive man. I could see it. I could see it. But in this situation that happened in the car, guess what? All right. It doesn't mean he's not an abuser, emotionally or psychologically. You guys, he abused her. Absolutely. And she abused him back. That's a fact. This is the perfect example of a toxic ass relationship. And we all know it. She's not innocent. She's not innocent, or she wouldn't be recording conversations and then giving it to her attorney talking about I feared him in the past. Then you should have left. You didn't fear him enough because as soon as he broke up with you, you was chasing him down. There was no fear, man. You were mad. You were angry that you put up with all his bullshit and he cut you off. You guys don't know, but she ran up a credit card on him that same night. Said almost $6,000 she ran up. What the hell you bought $6,000 in one night? She's mad because that lifestyle is about to change. She wanted revenge. Right? She knows she was getting broke off. And now she knows he's about to break somebody else off. She's mad, you guys. I have seen when women get vindictive, listen. Whew. They conjure up a story, they'll put you under the jail. When a woman when she is committed to ruining your life, you guys, you're out of here. Then they'll tell the story to their brother, tell the story to some simp king influencer, and he will come and show up and take your life. You guys, she told a story to the group of boys who were outside. When Jonathan Majors walked by, the man tried to attack Jonathan Majors. You guys didn't know that. You didn't see the tape. Met this complete stranger. He was ready to risk it all. He was going to risk it all. You guys didn't see it. Jonathan Majors, he just finished doing Creed 3. You going to run up on Jonathan Majors? Acting if you want to. The man knows how to fight. You guys, listen. All right. Listen, I was on Black Panther, the first movie. And I was working as a stunt. Okay, doing martial arts. I do martial arts. They have real fighters and martial artists teaching these actors how to fight, you guys. Jonathan Majors he's a big dude. This guy tried to walk up on him based off of a lie that the woman told him. He was about to risk it all. Let me see if I can find the video. Blew my mind. Blew my mind, you guys. So men are willing to throw themselves into a wall behind something. I don't know what it is that triggers where men feel like they they just go with whatever's told to them by a woman. It's this man. Yeah, I did some stunt work on the first Marvel set. Yeah. Yeah, Black Panther. I'm in there. I'm in it. Matter of fact, go to the credits. Go to the credits. You'll find my name under stunt. You'll see Nathan Daly is stunt. Yeah, I was doing stunts in there, doing my thing on there. Blessed opportunity. Yeah, I'll show y'all the picture at the end of this. I'll show y'all the picture. Let me see if I can find the video of that altercation. Let me see if I can find the video. Let me see if I can find it real quick. And then and then I'm gonna get to these super chats. So someone said what part did I play? I gotta find. Let me see if I have the pictures on the desktop. I played one of the King's Guards. Play one of what up, Jedi Mike? That's a big homie in the chat. He's a super film critic. You guys go and check out his channel. Good friend of mine. Good friend of mine. Yeah. I want to get some women to come and give me some thoughts behind this. All right. I want to hear what ladies have to say about this, to be honest. Because again, a woman's power is in her words because she knows she can't compete with the man physically. And the problem with these laws, you guys, they're not gender specific. We're not supposed to be analyzing and judging these crimes based off of gender. The elements of the crime are the elements of the crime. Who touched who first? They don't like the fact that Jonathan Majors physically, he used force to get her off of him. That's what this is all about. It's optics. This goes back to this unhealthy concept that we teach men and women that men are supposed to just be abused and women, and it's okay if women do it because women can't physically hurt a man. You guys, that's not the point. And yes, women can physically hurt men. They do it all the time. And what's funny is a woman's words and her use of language is never considered to be any type of violation. I work cases where when men tell me what happens and they're telling me what women were saying, it's never factored in that a man can lose control over his temper, over his emotions, and react physically. That's what happens. I had a case one time. Let me share this with you guys. Let me tell you what happened. 911 calls, I show up, domestic violence. The man is outside and he says, I hit her. I was wrong. I hit her. The brother was ready to go to jail. He had his hands out. He knew what time it was because we live in a country, we live in a time now where you know as a man, you're not supposed to hit a woman. But no one says women aren't supposed to hit a man. Right? We saw this with the Amber Heard. Johnny Depp said she hit me. And she said, no, I didn't. He said, yeah, you did. He said, well, I didn't hit you with it. It's not like it hurt. Ma'am, that's not the point. You put your hands on me and you weren't supposed to. That's hitting. All right. Now, just because if I hit you, it hurts more. This is about who's stronger. It's about you touched me inappropriately and you weren't supposed to. So again, the problem lies that we look at because we believe that a woman can't physically harm a man, that the physical attacks that she does is not worth being scrutinized. And that is a very dangerous thing that we teach women. That it's okay for me to hit you, assault you, disrespect you, insult you, belittle you. And I could do that with impunity because you were told that you're not supposed to hit me back. People say you can be beat over the head by a woman. Don't hit her. Why not? Says who? You hit me, I'm hitting you back. My hands are rated E for everybody. For everybody. We need to be teaching men and women to stop touching each other inappropriately, right? Women, do not hit men. Just because society says you shouldn't do it because morally it doesn't seem right, it doesn't mean that every man agrees with that. So when I'm teaching young women, I'm teaching women in conferences and I'm having these conversations, I always explain to women that that is a social construct that men shouldn't hit women. You step outside the United States, everybody doesn't agree with that. Some countries, you can't even raise your voice at a man. You're getting slapped. Whether you like it or not, the reality is no one is obligated to agree with your reality. I'm not obligated to agree with what you believe should be true. That's a fact. I tell women all the time, do not put your hands on people if you don't want them putting their hands on you. Because what we do is we start cultivating a group or a generation of women to think that they can do whatever they want. And no one is, I can walk and do cartwheels in the street half naked at 4 o'clock in the morning. You better not touch me. I can go down an alleyway in the dark. You better not kidnap me. Ladies, it doesn't work like that. There's criminals out here, and criminals do not acknowledge the law. That's why they're criminals. All right. You have to make good choices. You have to make good choices. I'm not going to have a bunch of money go into the poorest of communities with gold chains and diamonds and waving cash around in the middle of the street. Right? The law says you're not supposed to rob me. That's what the law says. What do I say? This is my money. This is my necklace, my jewelry. But if I do that, I'm an idiot. It's not victim blaming. All right. Choices, you guys. Don't put yourself in this situation to be taken advantage of by people who don't acknowledge the law. All right. Jonathan Majors lost. The reality is that this doesn't define his future. It does jack it up though. But he can bounce back from this. A lot of people do. But man, the trajectory he was on was out of this world. It was like he came out of nowhere. He came out of nowhere. And right as he's getting out of this relationship, this brother finds Megan Good. I'm just saying, sometimes we need a little time. Sometimes I'm saying we need a little time. We need a little time. Rebound game. She just got out of a marriage. He just in this right here. She in court with him and everything. I to each his own. All right, to each his own. Yeah, a bus driver. Yeah, I think that too. I think there's some Hollywood hocus pocus stuff going on as it relates, to be quite honest with you, but we just gonna we stick in surface level here. We stick in surface level. But I think obviously we all know there's some Hollywood hocus pocus going on. Right? It's very clear, like a shaming ritual. Like it's very clear. So let's do this. Let me hit the super chats real quick because I appreciate all that love. Shout out to SB Security Boss. Thank you so much. You guys, we did a great stream together. Y'all saw the one we did, Charleston White. I appreciate you guys coming up, showing up. That was great. So be careful, men. He even ran away from her. Yeah. Listen, she please check out Security Boss, her channel. Moderators can drop her channel on the link. Please check her out. Love her channel. Love what she's doing. Holding women accountable. Having these tough conversations a lot of people don't like to have. Okay. Um, you know, Security Boss makes a good point. The reality is, again, men are taught to do what? Every guy knows this. A woman is hitting you, we're supposed to what? Hold her down. Okay, hold her down, pin her down, don't hit her back. Okay, that's what we're told. All right, that's what we're told as men. So now make it make sense. I had a case where a guy was holding a woman down and she was aggressively fighting, like resisting, kicking him, doing all that. And he left bruises on her wrist. She was a little light skinned. Y'all see, I only date. Let me not say that. Let me not say that. But here's the thing: left bruises on her wrist. All right, they charged him for that. They charged him for that, and I didn't agree with that because their stories align. He's like, I wasn't hitting her; I was holding her down, but she was trying to get free, but she was assaulting me, and the initial officer wasn't feeling that. You know, wasn't feeling that. Let me tell you a story that I had, a case that I had. Let me tell you this story about the guy who's sitting on the porch, shows up, handcuffed him. He's already like, I'm guilty. I said, okay. I wait for my partner to show up. We separate both parties. I put him in, I detain him, right? I detain him. I separate him. And I go and talk to the alleged victim because he's saying that he hit her. So I'm assuming that, I still got to find out. I still got to investigate because I'm listening for the elements of the crime in what's being told, you guys, as we're investigating this. I talked to the woman. Of course, she's irate. Oh my God, he came. He did this. He was staying out all night. I think he's messing around. We've been getting into fights, arguing. I said, okay, calm down, calm down. Tell me what happened. I look around. There's stuff thrown all around the apartment. Okay. All right. Stuff's knocked over. Her phone's on the floor. Everything is in disarray. You guys, when you show up to a crime scene or domestic scene, everything looks crazy. Someone said, all right, you're brother, you feel me, brother. You feel me. You feel me. You feel me. All right. So yeah, boy, they bruised, boy, they bruised. So what happened? I'm asking her questions, and she's like, he came home late. I'm asking him what's going on, why he came home late. He's ignoring me. All right. So I'm thinking he's out, he's cheating. So I get in his face. Why you do this? Why you do that? And I'm following him upstairs. He locks me out of my room. He won't let me in. So I force myself in and I confront him again about, who is this and why is he coming in late? He called me names, I called him names. And I just try to get his attention. And when I reached and grabbed his shoulder, he turned around and punched me. Okay. Now, mind you, I'm saying this way, but she's crying, she's hysterical, she has a bruise on her mouth. She was hit. I'm like, damn, brother hit her. He hit her. That's her story. Okay, that's her story. He came home. She called the police. He was mad. She came home yelling, screaming. He's walking away, trying to avoid her. She gets in his face. He pushes her off, right? She's just in his face. He pushes her off. And then she got cut in her. She got a little marking on her hand and stuff like that. He goes upstairs, locks her out of her room. Right. Mind you, they live together. He locks her out of her room. She forces herself in the room, confronts him again. He turns around, punches her in the face. That's what she said. I'm like, damn, okay. Typical. It sounds typical, you guys. Now I go to talk to him. I said, can you walk me through the story? He's like, man, I hit her, man. I should never hit her. I just lost my temper. I'm like, all right, bro, I understand, but walk me through it. He's like, I came home because we were fighting earlier, arguing. She was getting on my nerves. So I just left. Right. I left for a couple hours. I came back, wait till I cooled off, came back, walked in the house. She's in my face and yelling and screaming, calling me all type of names. I ain't shit, Negro and blah, blah, blah. Then she takes her hand and starts forcing my forehead back. You know how sisters like, where you at? where you been at? And he's like, man, he says, so I'm smacking her hand away. And I walk away, go in the kitchen. She's grabbing my shirt and I push her off. She falls back and she knocks things over. All right. She follows him into the kitchen. She's yelling and screaming, where you been and where he's like, man, leave me alone and blah, blah, blah. She's calling me names or whatever. I try to go upstairs and walk away and get away from her. I'm telling her, leave me alone. All right. He says, I go in the room and I lock the door behind me because she's harassing me. She forces herself in through the room. He said, and then now she's smacking me in the back of my head. Now she left all that out, you guys, because she doesn't think she's doing anything wrong. So well, leave me alone. Leave, leave, leave me alone. Where you at? Man? What you doing? Where you at? So he's over here getting, as men, we're told that that's supposed to be okay. Right? So I'm listening. And then he said he's walking away trying to go in the bathroom. He's going to lock himself in the bathroom. She grabs him by his shirt and pulls him back. He said it just kind of choked him a little bit. He said he just blacked out. He didn't know what happened. He was just like, man, I was walking and I felt her pull me back. I was so angry already. Her just calling me names, saying this about me, that I'm broke. I ain't worth it. I'm this, that. He said, I turned around and my hand, I swung and backhanded her and it hit her in the mouth. He's like, I'm guilty. He threw his hand. Why? One incident, two separate stories. One story makes more sense than the other. So I go back and talk to her and I said, hey, he was saying that, that you kept pushing him in his face and he smacked your hand. Yeah, I did. I was just trying to get his attention. I said, okay. Then he said when he walked over here, you grabbed him by the shirt and he kind of nudged you over. That's how you fell back and knocked all the stuff off. Yeah. I was just trying to get. I said, okay. And then he said he was walking upstairs. He told you to leave him alone, but you followed him up the steps. And he's like, he didn't want to be bothered. He didn't want to talk. But you said you want to talk right now. He said he didn't want to talk. And he's like, I want to talk right now. He's like, nah, leave me alone, bitch. Leave me alone. And he was like, nah, I want to talk right now. He locked himself out. He was trying to get away from you, but you didn't want that. She said, yeah, I don't know why he think he can lock doors in my place. I said, ain't both of y'all on the lease? Yeah, but he was trying to get away from me and I wanted to talk right now. And so what'd you do? Well, I forced the door open and went in there and I said, okay, so you forced him to have the conversation. He didn't want to talk, but you wanted to talk. That's right. I said, then he said, you kept pushing him in the back of his head. Okay, I took my finger and did this. Right? I took my little finger and did that. It's a little finger now, right? It's a little finger. I took my little finger and did that. Okay, was he complaining? Ain't no bruises on him. I took my little finger and did that. And he ain't even hurt. He got little waves and shit. He ain't feel nothing. You guys, this is what's going on. But then he want to punch me in the mouth. And guess what? I said, well, he said you pulled his shirt back. Okay, I try to grab him. He moving too fast and he got hung up on the shirt and he want to punch me in the face. I said, okay. I said, Shaquita, I need you to put your hands behind your back. You're under arrest for assault and battery. Huh? What you mean? I mean, I need you to put your hands behind your back. You're under arrest for assault and battery. And now I walk out the house. She's in handcuffs. And her boyfriend's like, whoa, what's going on? The brother was confused, you guys. He was subjected to abuse from the moment he walked into the door. He was assaulted multiple times. He hit her one time. And he was confused. He didn't even know that he wasn't even in the wrong. I put her in the back of the police car. I come back to him. I take him out of handcuffs. You know what he said to me? Oh man, yeah, she did. But officer, I know she's wrong, but I don't want to press charges. You guys, men get abused all the time by women. all the time, you guys. All the time. All the time. Because a lot of women out here don't believe that what they're doing is abusive. There's a lot of women out here who believe that what they're doing is not abusive. So to walk around with that delusion. So then now when you tell your story as a woman who thinks that smacking somebody in the back of the head is okay, following somebody throughout the house who wants to be left alone, that's abusive. It's abusive. And what you see is that women tend to be more verbally abusive and just as much psychologically abusive. But there's no crime for emotional abuse. There's no crime for verbal abuse. So women get away with it. Could you imagine? Oh, ma'am, you're under arrest for verbal abuse. Oh, what I say? Um, you said he a broke ass Negro. He can't do nothing in the bedroom. His dick little. Oh, okay, okay. Well, guess what? Because when you said that, that hurt my feelings, right? Men are the only ones who are supposed to walk around like they don't have feelings. Now, I talk about men who can't control their emotions. That's one thing. But ladies, we have feelings, right? We got feelings because our feelings are direct react or relation to our actions, which oftentimes turns out to be physical violence. If men weren't getting their feelings hurt, women wouldn't be getting deleted out here and the numbers that they are being deleted. It's not a joke, you guys. It's not a joke. You know, out of the women who are victims of homicide, nearly half of them is due to an intimate partner relationship. Intimate partner, their partner killed them. More than half of women being killed are killed by a partner, an intimate partner, a boyfriend, a guy you were dating, a guy you slept with once, or a husband. Women are being wiped out. So, yeah, men have feelings. And there's some men who can't control their emotions to the point to where they recklessly act out violence against a woman because they can't control, process, or deal with their feelings. You guys, it's a real thing. It's a real thing. And we see this real thing in this case with Jonathan Majors and Jabari. Yep, a real thing. Um, I want to hear some people's thoughts. Let me go through this. Next super chat. Thank you so much. Yes, this is a very great point. I mean, no disrespect, and I'm not ignoring the girlfriend's role, but where's the accountability for Attorney General Alvin Bragg and the corrupt NYPD? Yeah, there is something funny going on in the DA's office, you guys. They've been putting together some BS cases. I don't know. And this is where people talk about the system itself, where there's an abuse of authority, there's abuse of power, and a lot of times a miscarriage of justice is what we see in this particular case, where they're bringing charges and not charging people they're not charging people appropriately. They're misusing the spirit of the law to like actually address these cases. And these guys got qualified immunity too. Now, these attorneys, right? These the DA, they got qualified immunity too. You can't go out and sue them. And that's another reason, like, how do you hold them accountable? He's gonna have to appeal. And I believe Jonathan Majors appeals, he'll win his case, but he needs the right people arguing the right things. He needs the right people making the right argument. Just because you pay an attorney a lot of money doesn't mean they're good. And I'm not saying his attorney's not good because we couldn't see the actual case, right? We couldn't see the trial. Thank you, Miriam, for this super chat. Thank you. Super sticker. Thank you so much for the super sticker. I appreciate it. I'm going to let me add this. I want to hear from the ladies tonight. I want to hear from the ladies. I want to know what y'all think about this. Is he wrong? Let me pin this. Let me pin this to the top. Let me pin this to the top. For the stream, if you want to come up and give your thoughts. I really want to hear what women have to say. I want to hear what women have to say. I really do. I really do. Knotty Love, Movement LLC. Thank you so much for the super chat. She said, when a person shows you who they are, believe them. Toxic cycle will destroy anyone. Facts. Facts. I say Jonathan Major failed himself because he knew what he was dealing with and should have removed himself a long time ago. But a lot of times, if you are someone who has a very controlling disposition, you want what you want. You want what you want. And again, when I'm looking at their text messages, you guys, it's very telling. All right. It's very telling. Very, very, very telling. Very, very telling. Yeah. Jedi, come on up, brother. Come on, I'll take you, Jedi. Come on up. Let me get your thoughts. Let me show this text message too while we are here. Is it gonna pull up? Let's go through these text messages real quick, you guys. I want to show you this, because it's not. Let me see. I believe this brother did it. He did it to himself, because unfortunately, as men and as women, as people of you have standards. You got to move accordingly. You guys, listen. It's no different for me as a former officer. I couldn't be out here playing around with these chicks. That's why I said you're not gonna catch me in the news. You're just not. And there are men who get themselves caught up. Like, you just have to move your whole livelihood, the way you make money, all you lose it all from making and associating with bad people. As an officer, I couldn't. It's like me associating with criminals, right? Like, you can't do it because it's a conflict. It's a conflict into your career and things like that. Officers get in trouble for drinking and driving and stuff like that. You catch me, I'll never be drinking out. Never. So there's certain things you got to move a certain way. People work in the medical field. You can't do drugs and things like that. You got snorting coke. You get caught, you're done. I remember when I used to work at the hospital, a lady was shooting herself up with morphine, a nurse. What she would do is, if she had a patient when she was supposed to be given a couple cc's, I don't know the measurement, but you're supposed to be giving them a couple whatever for their pain. What she would do, she would leave a little bit left in the bottle, right? The narcotics. And then she would go in the break room when nobody's watching, and she'd shoot herself up with the rest of it. She was doing it so much to the point where she kind of OD'd a little bit. Someone caught her passed out. She had the tourniquet on and the syringe still in her arm, and she's fucking passed out in the break room. You guys, she lost her job, lost her license, right? So you have cases where you have attorneys. You got attorneys like on this YSL case that are almost about to lose their license, because they're doing unethical things. So as an entertainer, your brand, your image is everything, man. And that's why Marvel dropped them. Right? They dropped them, and they were messing with them prematurely, but they're like, this is the brand. No one's going to watch a movie with us. They're going to boycott and do all this foolishness because the type of world we live in today. It's crazy. I'm gonna bring my homie up. Yo, Jedi Mike, come on stage, brother. Come on up. What's good, player?
How you doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear, pimp. Loud and clear. Long time.
Long time. Hope you're doing well, man.
Man, I'm doing good, man. Welcome back. Let me drop this down so people know where to find you. Let me see, where's it at? All right, there we go. Jedi Mike in the building. Man, what's your thoughts on this, man? Give me some info. Give me some intel. What's your thoughts?
So this is a very messy situation, obviously, in all cylinders. First of all, the fact that that I work as a film critic on the side. I'm part of African American Film Critic Association. So all of us in the Black film media, we've been watching this very extensively. And I can say that with that the response that Disney have gave as quick as they did was not surprising. The only interesting thing is what they're going to be doing in terms of moving forward with his character, because we have seen a lot of other actors such as Ezra Miller recently with the Flash, who has been way worse than what Jonathan Majors is been dealing with right now. But obviously, he had the Flash had his own movie with him as the lead star. Even after almost months or so later, after these, there's not no if and but. So it was interesting how now that we're in the current state in these conversations now where people are discussing now like what's the future for his career. Now there's several opportunities where he can do, because we've seen people who have gone through way worse stay low for a year. But the thing that we don't have to talk about is that he's going to be sentenced in February, that he has to be, I think he can be in jail for a full year. I think that I read that in I think in a Variety article. I will make sure that I'm not misquoting that.
I think that would have been under the felony charges if he was convicted of the felony charges. So the charges he was convicted of are misdemeanors. And I think one of them is so he was convicted of one crime and one violation. So in New York they have violations. So harassment is the assault in the third degree is one charge, and then harassment in the second degree is the other charge. And harassment in the second degree is punishable up to 15 days. 15 days. But the felony one was up to a year. That was the one that was the strangulation.
Yes,
or
right.
The other assault. Yeah.
Right. But then there's also another thing in form of entertainment. You have the court of justice, in terms of but you also have the court of public opinion, which if you follow, again, our constitution is the shade room, spiritual world, etc. And so if you actually look in the comment section, a lot of people are actually on his side on this, especially women, which unfortunately after those phone records came out, they were like, what's next? Yeah,
right.
Like the Johnny Depp situation, had both Amber Heard and Johnny Depp both had the case was publicized, and obviously you had television documentaries about this, but again, Jonathan Majors did not testify. That's the thing that you can see that
testified.
See, and then not only that, unlike Johnny Depp lawyers, which I forgot what's the young lady's name who went against Amber Heard. She became so popular after that case. His defense attorney, right? This lawyer, their lawyers actually did a very poor job in terms of before this trial even start, with in terms of the word of mouth, the publicity they were saying, basically defaming her character. Mind you, this isn't a civil case. If you want to do a civil case, you can go ahead and try to ruin her character, which that probably might be the direction they're going to go. That's the only thing they have left in terms of. I honestly, for me, I'm getting really, kind of sick and tired of these situations happening, especially, you've seen great, talented Black male actors reaching to the height of their career only to be knocked right down. Obviously, we have Will Smith, situation that happened, him getting the Academy Award for Best Actor, and then that situation happened with Chris Rock. So, and again, Eddie Griffin, if you guys remember, there's an interview he said a long time ago, there's a system out there to attack every Black male entertainer's image. Michael Jordan gambled. Bill Cosby, with 27 women and still counting. Michael Jackson.
In order to control people, you have to have something over them, and so
exactly.
And in this game of high stakes, people are always looking to find something to blackmail you over, because if they can do that, they control you, and that's why you're not supposed to give people any leverage. And if someone knows that you have a weakness or an addiction, they exploit it. And so in this case, when you see other actors in the industry, they don't have these problems. You don't hear anything about their relationships. Denzel Washington is like a perfect example. They keep their ear to the street, but they stay low to the ground. They come to work and they work. They're not out here partying, turning up. Those things, when you're a person with that image, with that clout, it can draw a lot of negative attention. And so you have people who are preying on you for an opportunity. I remember that incident with Mike Tyson was on the airplane and somebody was harassing him, and then he punt, and it's like, because we know. And so again, it's just one of those things where you got to move smart when you're out here. And a lot of these celebrities who get themselves in trouble are moving, they're reckless. And though you have people out here who are harassing them, we see people do it to Kanye West all the time. When he's out, they try to agitate him to get so he can assault them, so they can get a check. So unfortunately, it's just the name of the game. When you're in the limelight like that, you got to move differently.
But there's also a thing is that you have to understand Black people's attention span, because we're not going to be talking, because I'm being for real. We're not going to be talking about this until probably in April and April or May, because also we got a Kanye West album that's about to drop, and and which that's everybody's expecting for that to be a big draw. We got Dave Chappelle's he's having a new a Netflix special coming in beginning of the new year. So that's, again, there's gonna be different things that that's gonna be happening where word of mouth is not gonna be solely on Jonathan Majors. Obviously today you see him through your scroll feed and everything like that. But I think that Jonathan Majors have the opportunity to come back from this. However, he has to be very careful. He should not be saying anything in terms of the media, because again, all this stuff is going to be used against him for leverage. Again, we're just playing the role as a journalist. You're taking every opportunity you can get. Whether they're not playing, good side, bad side, is all sides, because that's all, that's the publicity game that we're in. This part of the game. And but any type of Black creator, whether you're a film critic, whether you're an actor, director, etc., you have to understand that, aside from the fear mongering us as Black people, I understand that, we'll get rid of the victim mentality. We have to understand that, when we're reaching a level of success, especially when a lot of people are attacking our culture around our success, that was happening with Jonathan Majors. He was wrapped around being perceived as this like civil rights activist as an actor, the roles he was taking, as you see, with Chadwick Boseman, the roles he was taking, playing famous, figures throughout Black history. So Jonathan Majors almost was on that trajectory. So what I'm saying is that, especially for Black males, is that to proceed with caution, especially when you get with relationships with women. I understand that I'm married right now, but I can tell you this is that even then, still proceed with caution, because anybody that has an opportunity to destroy you when you reach the top of the totem pole are going to take the opportunity. So don't give them the opportunity. It's just like you have, as men, we have our strength in terms of our resources, but also what we're able to protect and provide for. So when we can't protect our own image, when we can't protect the resources because of some girl who, by the way, she's I think she's a motion director, and a few other projects. She was actually on this working on the project for Ant-Man 3 on the same with Jonathan Majors. So yeah, she's been around in the industry. So, but again, as much as we know as Black men, especially when our moms talk about white women, I'm not going there. You already know it's it's African American proverb.
let me ask you this, Jedi, because you make a good point. Snuggles on the chat. I ain't seen Snuggles in a minute. Shout out to Snuggles. Let me ask you this though. Was Marvel wrong for dropping him?
No, because if they were sitting on standby with this. I can guarantee the fact how it only came out a few hours after the verdict was released to the press, because mind you, currently there's a show called Loki that was on Disney Plus, and Jonathan Majors played a key character in that. And when that show came out, everyone was concerned, like, wait, how much are you going to show Jonathan Majors? And he was heavily involved in that series, and that just ended about a month or so ago, a couple weeks ago. So they give an opportunity to put him in the spotlight and showing him in trailers and marketing of the series. So they were definitely on his side, saying, hey, listen, we're just staying by, but we still are a business and a corporation. Because I guarantee you the Amber Heard Johnny Depp situation when you stopped Johnny Depp from doing Pirates of the Caribbean 5, which was one of your billion-dollar franchise. They're not going to make that a mistake again. So, especially when this character that Jonathan Majors is going to play was basically going to be the new level villain of Thanos compared to what he was 10 years ago. He was going to be the next Thanos. So, and that Marvel movies have been somewhat wishy-washy, definitely in box office, not just also a quality of the film. They don't want to mess the opportunity where the guy they're centering their entire universe on. We don't want to be just cutting him off loose. But again, they have contingency plan, which is what you saw today.
Yeah. Woo, man. Listen, brother, thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for that input. You guys go and check out Jedi Mike, man. Drop the link in there for us to have so we can reach out to you.
Absolutely.
I always enjoy your work. Great critic, great criticism as needed. It's disappointing. He's a phenomenal actor. Love his work. But I think he can bounce back from this. And I think the people know the truth and they see what happened. And I think that's what's most important. So shout out to you, brother, man. Come back again, man. We got to chop it up.
Absolutely,
all right, bro.
Take care.
You too, man. Love that guy. Love that guy. You guys, Jedi Mike has been a big supporter since I first started on YouTube, and we always have great conversations. Kev, I see you, brother. I'm about to bring you up. Where the ladies at? I want to hear what y'all think about this domestic violence. I need to hear y'all thoughts because these brothers are going to keep it real tonight. They're going to keep it real. Ladies, I want to hear what you got to, not to love. All right. Hold on, Kev. I got a sister in the back. We're going to bring her up real quick, Kev. I want to get a woman's opinion real quick. What's going on?
Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me on your panel. And I really, really appreciated your perspective. Number one, I'm glad you brought up that this is not a thing about race.
Right.
He can date and love whoever he wants.
Thank you.
But most importantly, I think the key lessons here, and I think a lot of men lack this, like when you're violated, men need to start calling the police and reporting these women. I was very disappointed in his counsel because there are laws like when someone takes your property, that's like larceny, and like you allow to a certain limit, to exude some force to get your property back. But if he would have just took a breath in that moment and just called the cops on her, it would have made all the difference in the world. And I just don't want people to make this a race thing. It's not a race thing. It's a toxic situation thing, And people need to recognize when they're with partners that are unstable, when you see that they have unhealthy habits and things like that, especially when you have so much to lose, you have to love yourself more.
Got to prioritize it. Got to let them go. This situation is there's a lot of bad actors in this case. All right. Outside of the self-accountability that Jonathan Majors he has to take on his own, and the accountability that Jabari has to take on, you have the police who showed up and they gave a very biased investigation. And I get it, because I've investigated these cases, so I understand, but then as you get more information, and sometimes you don't have to be quick to arrest somebody. If the elements of the crime don't make sense and things don't add up, you can take your time. You can wait till the next day. You can wait 2 days later. The name of the game when you have a domestic is to keep people separated. And the conversation that could have happened is like, listen, if I know I'm dealing with someone and they're a celebrity, I make sure I'm very careful, because anything I put out or say, obviously I know is going to court. And I've dealt with celebrities out here, in Atlanta and stuff. And so you got to treat it very, very careful. We had supervisors that would go and double check, triple check, because we understand what's going to happen next. And so in these situations, you separate them, you look and do your due diligence. He's like, I never did it. Okay, cool. Now, here's a key, one of the key issues that you brought up, which I agree. What do you say about her bringing up the text messages, bringing up the old conversations, bringing up the past about her saying she was afraid of him? What does that kind of say to you, just as a woman? Like, what is that? Like, those tactics, what would you describe that as? Because essentially, this could have been a thing where she reported an incident, She wants to go her separate way, but now it becomes, I want to show you that he's a monster. I want to show you that he's a manipulator. I want to show you, like, I feel like the purpose of the case had shifted from the incident in the car to who he is, or who I want you to believe he is. What are your thoughts on her tactics behind this thing?
Well, when a woman scorned, right?
Right.
I felt like it was very calculated and manipulative on her part. I mean, because it didn't have anything to do with the incident at hand, and it also spoke to what her true intentions were for the relationship. If you
Right.
ask me, because he didn't have all that on her.
Right.
Because
Right.
he was in it for the right reasons. And granted, he's a jerk, right? He's controlling. He's got some narcissistic traits, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I felt like those text messages didn't have anything to do with the incident at hand, but her attorneys did a great job, because
Mm-hmm.
what they did was establish a pattern of behavior. And
Mm-hmm.
in the end, they were able to twist that and use it
Yes.
against him,
Yes.
unfortunately.
Yes. I have a saying, and I tell young men, I tell my nephews this, that if a woman can get you out of character, if a woman will create a thought in your mind that you want to hit her, she's already violated, and you've already violated yourself. And you need to remove yourself from the relationship. If I contemplate I had a case in high school, it was me. And my ex at the time, she found out she cheated. And I never felt that kind of pain before. It was the first time. It tore me apart. And in my mind, I thought about putting her ass to the drywall.
Mm-hmm.
The thought alone. And I think the problem is, we're not teaching, or we're not explaining this to our young boys, our young men, and even our young ladies, you know, that you can put yourself in a very uncompromising situation in these relationships. You can stay way too long. You can make excuses for the abuser. And next thing you know, you're in situations like this, or your body's left cold for someone else to pick up, you know. And it's sad, and that's what's so dangerous about these toxic relationships, because both parties are staying in it, and they're both manipulating each other to stay more, right? It becomes a competition. What are
Mm-hmm.
your thoughts on the infamous, as a black woman, as a strong black sister, okay? What were your thoughts when you first heard um the audio recording she recorded about him scolding her about coming home drunk, um, and how her behavior will damage the bag, basically is what he said, and then also how he wants her to be more of a woman like Coretta Scott King, and, Michelle Obama, and she's a white woman. What was your initial reaction? I'm just curious. What was your initial reaction?
My initial reaction to the audio was, number one, I felt like he did not know that he was being recorded.
Correct.
Number two, I felt like he was trying to protect his image.
Correct. Yeah.
But I also felt like he was chastising her like a child. I also
Yeah.
felt that controlling undertone. And
Yeah.
I felt that those were my immediate reactions.
Okay. Okay.
Being realistic. And I felt like, if you have to speak to someone in that manner, why are you with them?
Why are you with them? Because and what people don't understand, it's a psychological thing. Is a man who's insecure and a man who wants to be controlling, he needs a woman who is fragile. He needs a woman that's broken in order to properly manipulate her. That through that manipulation, it actually feeds that narcissism, right? So it's like, yeah, you want to treat her like a child in a sense, because it makes you feel bigger as a person. Because you're absolutely right. He's saying you need to be like this type of woman, that type of woman, but she's not that type of woman, and you already know it, or you wouldn't be having that conversation with her, right? I want you to be like this and be like that, and I think that's what he sees in Megan Good, right? That's what he sees in her. Right. But you know,
I
and
was
so
disappointed. I was more disappointed than in that than
well,
anything.
listen, broken people attract broken people.
Exactly.
You
And
know,
I just kind of felt like it was a publicity stunt to kind of clean up his image.
possibly, yeah, possibly.
You
I
you know
think that
how
that was,
like
I think that was, the text, the owner, the person in the text message said that's the name was Cleopatra. I think it was her. I think it was her. I think he named
like he
her. I think he
already have
named
been
her Cleopatra.
communicating.
Yeah, because I mean, this happened in March, and
Yeah.
then we holding hands in court. Now, I
All of a
mean,
sudden,
yeah, if I'm messing with you, I mean, I might not show up at court. I'll be outside the court waiting for you to, I might be in the car waiting for you, but we not, because I already know what that looks like. I already know what that looks like. So,
again, I say protect yourself, girl. Wait till this is all over before you come out in public with him, because she has
yeah,
her own image to protect.
and it already don't even look that great, regardless, I want everyone to be happy. I see y'all in the back filling up. Let me get
Oh,
you this one question. So do you think the way Black women were reacting to that voice message about him saying, I want you to be like, okay, let me ask you this. As a Black woman, is there anything wrong with a man saying to another woman who's not Black that I want you to have the character of a Michelle Obama, or the character or and the characteristics of um, a Coretta Scott King? Is there anything wrong with using those women as examples as to the character we would want a woman, or can only a Black woman exude those qualities of a Michelle and a Coretta?
I think he was speaking more to the characters,
Okay.
not so much as the color of their skin. I think he was speaking into the way they carry themselves. You're
Right, right,
supposed to be
right,
look, you're supposed to be a
right.
lady in the street and a freak in the bedroom.
That's what's up. Absolutely, she's supposed to, right? So yeah, but no, yeah, I agree with you. I think he was talking about character, not color. So I was a little disappointed when I heard Alexa say that. But I'm curious to see what other sisters got to say. So listen. Let me bring up some more in the back. I got some more coming up. Thank you
Okay,
so much for coming on. I appreciate your input, my dear.
my pleasure. Thank
All right,
you.
all right, bye. All right. Love that. Love that. All right, Kev, you up. And then I see Dion, and then Uncle Stu, and then Prototype. Hang tight, brother. I'm bringing you up. Sisters, come on up. I want to hear your thoughts. Hey, Goddess, you can come up if you want to now. I want to hear your thoughts. Kev, brother, what's up? What's good?
Hey, how you doing, man? It's been a little bit. I've been tracking you though. I just hadn't come up in a bit, but I've been tracking you though. You've been doing
Nah,
some good things, good commentary. Uh, I do. I don't understand all the technical stuff that you do and that you say, so I do kind of have to look some stuff up. But that's why I listen to you, because I know you get into the nuts and bolts and the weeds of that.
okay.
And good commentary. And I know you were following this, and I've been looking at some other people and how they've been talking about this. Ah, man, I gotta say, I'm so disappointed.
Yeah. On
Look,
which
I didn't.
yeah,
I wasn't going to think that he was going to kind of get away clean, at least as far as the image of it. But
mhm,
just as far as what I know and what I've looked at and some of the stuff I've seen, it didn't seem so egregious that he needed to actually be, pronounced guilty on something.
I agree.
So,
Correct. Yeah.
and I'm not going to say that he didn't do anything wrong. I'm just going to say when you talk about stuff like this, and you got to be. It's a real fine line here. It's a real fine line in the sense that, and you tell me if I'm wrong about this. This will be my summary.
Okay.
Okay. So in the sense of him trying to recover some property while there was some kind of low level altercation,
Hmm.
he physically moved her, but unintentionally harmed her in the process, or hurt her in the
Right.
process. And
Right.
while he was trying to get away from her, right?
Correct. Correct.
Okay. See, so you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
No.
nothing that happened was intentional, right?
Correct.
Okay. So where's the because when we talk about harming women, domestic violence, assault,
Hmm.
all of this other stuff, I'm thinking like you're really putting the screws to a woman, right? You're really
Correct.
doing some stuff. Now we can talk about their relationship and all the other stuff, but this is where I gotta agree with the young lady that was just up, and then you probably said this also. Look, man, we love y'all women, but all of this frustration and aggravation and everything that comes with a woman, a particular woman, is not worth it. And the other thing too is he wasn't married to this woman. I understand they had a kid together. All he had to do was be a father to his
No,
kid.
they have no kids. I don't think they have any kids.
Oh, I thought they had a kid.
No. They got no. He got yeah.
Okay, maybe that was just kind of floating around. Maybe that was just kind of floating. Only because you know, because when he first kind of started to kind of, you know, pop off a little bit, there were some women that said, "Oh, I bet he's got a non-black woman," right?
Yeah,
Something to that effect. And then she does pop up. It's because I'm wondering why would you keep this woman around? What do you need her for? If you're arguing with her, if she's frustrating you, if you got to treat her like a child, I'm like, I don't have time for this.
Right.
Like he's doing too much. And
right.
you know, and you know, I've had a couple of relationships like that. Well, not really only, well, yeah, a couple. Look, at the end of the day, we got stuff we got to do. All right. And we love women. We need y'all if we're gonna, you know, get married and have kids and all the other stuff. We want you to help us raise these kids. But at the same time, if you're gonna frustrate us throughout the process, then I don't see why we need you. All right, we don't need that particular woman. We don't need you as that particular woman. So
well, let me ask you this real quick. He does have a daughter, but not with this girl. And someone
okay, that's what it is.
So,
okay, all right.
What are your thoughts on and I gotta push this on Black women, because a lot of times when they see a man of status and money, you hear within the Black community, a lot of Black women are upset. They get upset about that, about Black men dating outside of their race. But in this particular case, they're saying that this would not have happened if she was Black. What are your thoughts on that?
You know what? I agree to some extent. You know why? Because a lot of bags are fumbled here. No, I agree. I actually agree. I'm agree. You know, this is okay. I'm agree with the Black women on this one, because look, the thing is that I would expect a Black woman to actually have more of a be in alignment with what a Black man is doing, where he's trying to go, what he's trying to achieve, and she doesn't want to do anything to screw that up. I'm gonna give Black women credit on that. If you got a good Black man and he's on the rise and he's actually doing all the stuff that women love to see men do, why would you fumble that? All right. And it seemed like, look, and okay, so I know we're not trying to make this racial, but I'm gonna make this racial a little bit. It seemed like the white lady didn't care. It seemed like the white lady didn't care, because
but when you say she didn't care, I'm thinking it more from the standpoint, nothing mattered after she found out she was being like he was breaking up with her. Then it became more like a revenge. To me, I don't see color. I see this is the behavior of women, right?
Okay, yeah.
I don't see this unique to I've seen Black women do the same thing. I've seen Hispanic women do the same thing. I've seen Asian women do it, the celebrities. This is very consistent with a woman that's upset, a woman that's jealous, a woman that's mad, a woman that's been abused, a woman, whatever you want to call it. This is not, for me, I've seen cases where this isn't unique to her skin color, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, okay, so yeah, I don't know that part of the relationship as far as whether or not they were breaking up and all the other stuff. But I'm just thinking, if you have a guy who's on the rise and you see his star rising, he's all over the magazine, you know, he's like Puffy, all up in the videos, all on the magazines, he's everywhere. Then you need to play your part. All right. Yeah. And if you're giving him any kind of trouble at all, regardless of race, Black, white, Asian, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Then you got to go. Especially if you're not married to her. Especially she's not your wife. There's no commitment. Well, there's nothing beyond, you know, just her hanging around and being around you. That's the benefit of being with a man like that. You're on it. You as he rises, so do you. As long as you play your role, and he's going to be more loyal to you and want to be. And when he's like, you know what, I'm ready to get married, you're already there. How you fumble that? Honestly.
Yeah. But see, here's the number one problem you're making. You're thinking you're making an argument about logic. And we're talking about women who are making decisions off of emotion. Her emotion fumbled the bag. You're talking about a logical woman. And we know this ain't got nothing to do with logic, because we know this is emotional, because she's talking about past incidents. She's talking about she feared for her life with him in the past, but you're still with them. You're describing past events. You're recording conversations, and you're presenting this to the court, right? So she's making an emotional decision because she's upset that he broke up with her. And because this is what happened. And so again, a logical woman, a woman who's mature, would look at this thing differently and say, okay, I'm not gonna fumble the bag. I'm not gonna mess up this opportunity. I have to act accordingly. But he made that in that recording, he's scolding her about her being drunk and coming in and doing. He said, listen, if you come out here and get in trouble or you fall something, it comes back on me because I'm the star. You know, you're not the star, I'm the star. So it's the same thing with me, and you know this as men with status. And I don't think I had any status particular, but me as a former officer, if I come out here and get in trouble tomorrow, I'm not even a cop anymore. The news line is going to read former police officer. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? So as men of means, men of status, men who have things to lose, that's what they look at. That's what they look at when we do something stupid. They call up our this doctor, African American doctor. They throw your title. Why can't it just be the guy who got the DUI, right? Why do you got to throw my title? Because it makes it more salacious. It makes it more interesting. Let me.
Well, you're supposed to be an upstanding member of the community.
You're supposed to know better.
If you do all that work to actually, achieve a certain level of status, right, especially high, if you're part of essentially the gentry status, I suppose, the respectable, right, population, then yeah, you're supposed to uphold a certain standard. And then the women associated with you is supposed to actually, be in line with that. This is where I would fault him for having to correct this woman on a regular basis. And you know what? Right. So yeah, so say this incident doesn't happen, but she does all this other stuff. Then right, so what? Then it's just her, and people look at it. Well, you're not really making a good decision here. You better let that woman go. And then his handlers would say, look, she's not a good look. Right. You're not in trouble yet, but she might get you in trouble. You need to get away from this woman.
There you go.
So, it's just a lot of things there. And then I'll say this also. Okay, so he wasn't gonna get no Coretta Scott King or Michelle Obama out of her. That's not gonna happen. Look, okay, I'm gonna have to make this racial. I'm gonna have to make this racial a little bit.
No, go ahead. Do your thing, brother.
He should have picked if he was gonna throw up an example, he should have picked a nice, respectable white woman, because that's what she is. She's white. And I'm not. It's just in my I come up with this because in my conversations with non-black people, and I gotta say this for the non-black people. I know you got listeners and stuff like that. Yeah. They can relate, kind of, sort of, but not really. Mm-hmm. I don't see it in them. No offense to y'all, but I don't see it in you. So the reason I say this is that when we talk about Black American history and culture and stuff like that, it doesn't resonate with non-black. It doesn't resonate. If I threw out Arturo Schomburg, does that resonate with you?
No.
But if you're Hispanic, you're supposed to know who he is, right?
Yes. Yeah, I agree with that point. You're absolutely right. Cultural context matters when it comes to relationships.
Arturo Schomburg is an important person in Hispanic culture. Pedro Albizu Campos, somebody who's Asian, who's very important in Asian culture. I see. Now, when you throw those names out, even though I may have heard of them, I can't relate. I've read Sun Tzu. I respect him. I respect it, based on his military strategy. But as a non-Asian, I cannot relate the same as somebody who's Chinese, right? See the difference?
Yes, I agree. I agree with that. I agree.
So I'm not expecting that out of them, and I'm not going to put that pressure on them. So when he's throwing that out there, she can't relate. No offense to her, but I wouldn't expect her to. Now, I expect my wife to, give me some, and she does. My wife, she exudes Coretta Scott King and, Michelle Obama and, all the other, great Black women that we know and love, right? Okay. She gives me all of that. So that's what, and the thing about it is I really don't have to tell her, right? And I'm not running around correcting her, and she's not a problem for me and all this other stuff. So it's just, there was some mistakes that he made, but I would say everything that led up to this, it just doesn't warrant like a guilty verdict. It's like he needs to get in some trouble, have some social stigma associated with it, a lot of questions here and there. But as far as like this, because even the charges themselves and the actual findings are not so severe that it's crazy. Look. I'm not, again, I don't, what do you call it? None of us support DV, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, does this reach the level?
Well,
does this reach the level? Again, I just explained to you, he was trying to do something, but in the process of trying to do something, he seemed reckless, and then he harmed her in the process but unintentionally.
So let
See,
me
like,
let me say this to your point.
I get that there's some harm there, but
Yeah, to your point, you're right. I think you're chopping out a little bit. The connection is chopping, but to your point, the
sorry, I lost my
reality of the
signal.
situation.
I'm sorry, I lost my
Oh
signal.
yeah,
Go ahead.
you good. To your point, and I'm gonna bring up the next.
Yeah,
I'm gonna bring the next call up. You're right. I think that was an excellent point. I agree with you on that. I think they wanted to just charge him with something. What I seen in this and looking at the charge, knowing the evidence that they presented, they just wanted to charge him with something. Because these are misdemeanors, and one of them aren't even criminal, not even a criminal charge. I think someone said these are both what they call violations under New York statute. They're not criminal violations. They're called violations, and then there's criminal penal violations, and these look like these are just 15-day arrest type of thing. It's BS. And so once they realized that this was not an intentional assault, they should have dropped these charges, and it should have been removed out of the DA's office and taken back down to a lesser court.
So that Eddie Griffin thing is actually true. You think you can't get out of this clean? You're not going to get out of this clean? Will Smith, Bill Cosby.
I think that's Hollywood. I think that's Hollywood.
So check this out. You know Michael Jackson was actually looking at Marvel, right? For purchase. Did you know that?
I thought it was Sony.
Okay, I'm sorry. Well, no, he got a lot of money out of Sony. He was able to walk away with Sony with like half of what they were worth or something like that.
He had the
like,
Beatles catalog.
Sony felt like Michael screwed him, right? Screwed them. Or I'm sorry. And they're like, we got to get back at this dude. So and then all of a sudden you get all these accusations, and still to this day, there's a lot of flurry around what was true, what was true, what was not true. And even the people who made the accusations were very skeptical. So my whole thing is that it's just looking this way. And, black men are going to have to learn, and I get it. There's other guys that get in trouble too. But man, it doesn't pan out it doesn't flesh out the same.
Well, it doesn't feel good when it happens to us because there's not enough of us in that position. That's what it is. It happens to them a lot because there's more of them. So when we see one of ours come up and they get railroaded, it hurts more because it's not the norm seeing us in these high profile positions in Hollywood. But it's a control tactic. The question is, what did he have that he did not give or agree to, or what was he not falling in line with to why they came at him the way they did? Because they could have buried this like they bury a lot of stuff, but they chose not to. So there's going to be probably that conspiracy. But listen, brother, thank you again. As always, coming up.
I'll say this one last thing. I think he'll actually still recover, though. I think he'll still. I think he'll recover. It's going to take some time, but he'll recover. We still with you, Jonathan. You're going to have to clean some stuff up. All right, but thanks for letting me up. Appreciate you, man.
Problem,
Keep doing good work.
Take
care,
sir. It's a good brother right there. Always great insight. He's absolutely right. I think that was a great comparison he made with about the cultural context, and I agree with him 100%. You say a certain name and the person doesn't know who they are, then you miss the point, right? So he's absolutely correct. I do think the sisters gave him unnecessary backlash, right? They was a little salty. All right, Dion, you up, and then Uncle Stu, you next. Dion, what's good, brother? Long time no see.
Merry Christmas.
Man, Merry Christmas to you too.
Yeah,
man.
It's coming up 7 days. Pretty good. So, Kevin, I love you, brother. You got a lot of wisdom. Here I am with some gray in my beard. About to talk like good. But if we're talking about giving advice to men, especially young men, that advice about marriage, immaterial. Just like take all of that and throw it out the way. You, in all honesty, had Jonathan Majors been married with this situation, she would have lost a lot.
Yes, she would have.
Okay. Yep. So love you, Kevin, but you gotta give up the ghost with that. With that, all your problems will be solved by not having kids out of wedlock. Just give it up. All right. This is the world we live in. The institution is what it is.
Yep.
But I wanted to ask you, Nathan, a question because you're the expert. and it's Dean. I don't really care, but the in terms of like inside baseball regarding police departments and district attorneys, I saw your video last night, and I was like, this feels more like, I know it's easy to beat on. Well, let me back up, to pick on the woman in this case. And her role, but that's like, to me, that seems like such low hanging fruit. This really seems like the judicial system, like he was systemically railroaded.
Okay.
And what I want to get is your insight in terms of inside baseball between the DA and the PD, because Jonathan Majors, to address some things, he was the one that called 911. Okay.
Yes.
And in June, he also press charges against Grace Jabari, that is. So he put them peoples in her life, so to speak.
Right.
But Alvin Bragg, the district attorney, chose intentionally not to pursue charges on Jabari. Yeah. So in my mind, this is a quid pro quo situation where she's just playing ball because, hey, you're not prosecuting me. You're doing me a solid. I'm going to do you a solid. So for this, like, how does that work? Like, do they? Yeah.
Okay, that's a good question. The reality is this: when it comes to misconduct within the prosecution office, there's a lot of different ways it can come from. It can come from a political standpoint, where you have the governor, you have a city, county officials who know they're getting pressured. We saw this with the Jussie Smollett case, right? Remember that? He had support from government officials because they're getting pressure from the corporate side of Hollywood or the industry, and was like, hey, and he was getting support from the LGBTQ community, and he was getting support from the Black. So there was a pressure to give him a pass, right? To now turn him into a victim. So yeah, so the public's opinion has a great influence over what these people do. Why? Because they're incentivized on being voted back into power. And so when your main concern is rooted in whether or not whether or not you're going to be reelected again, then you're going to acquiesce to the popular demand. That's the problem with our system, is because people are more so concerned about their own positions of power than they are about doing their job properly and ethically. So that's one thing, right? That's one thing. In this particular case, people are going to always try to stand on the side of the Me Too. They're going to stand on the side because that's what the politically correct thing to do. Is that what they see is a white woman who was abused, she was beat up by this Black man. That's that racial element that's always going to be a thing, right? That's always going to be a thing. Then the second piece is it's the gender element, that she's a woman and she was assaulted by a man. That's the second piece. The third piece is he has to have manipulated her, because now we see these text messages, right? They expose the messages, and the messages are suggesting this. What you end up having is, because there's such a high profile case, just as easy as they could have probably defended and squashed this and buried this, they didn't. And they had the power to do so because they got the money and they got the influence. So the fact that they did not do it, to me, lends to be a bigger issue. There's something going on in the DA's office in New York, because they've been making a whole bunch of horrible prosecuting decisions. And that is a political thing. And I don't know why that is. I don't think this is an issue with as much as the police. I think the police have their responsibility that they failed, they dropped the ball on, and then the prosecuting office dropped their ball on something as well, because it seems like they're trying to make a point versus actually exercise the law ethically. And again, if you're representing, or you come from a political stance where you're more left leaning, then your policies and how you actually enforce those policies are coming from a prejudice standpoint. They enforce this case through bias, because it reflects positively on their political stances.
Okay.
Right? That's the issue. So they're not neutral. They didn't remove themselves from that because again, they're trying to impress what? I guess you would say their voting base. They're here to impress them. And that's what ends up getting, becoming problematic in this particular case is because you could see the bias. You can see the bias. It's no different if you were a judge on the stand and you're overseeing a case of, let's say, racism, and the suspect is white, the victim is black, and the suspect shot and robbed the victim, and it was racially motivated. Now you have two options. You can either make a judgment and look at everything through a sense of a judge or as a black judge, right? When they talk about women who are in this space in the criminal justice system who are prosecutors, women who are judges, they point out a lot of data that show that they're very biased against black men, right? And that they actually punish black men at higher sentences than they do white men. So again, they can look at these things. People, unfortunately, will do their job and filter their job through their biases, through their preferences. And so that's one of the biggest issues with the criminal justice system. If it's a personal thing that makes you sensitive and you're on that case, handling that case, you get drawn into it. I've done it myself too. I've had cases dealing with kids. I can't stand kids that are abused. I can't stand domestic violence. And I'm a part investigating and I get angry. I want to make sure that person is dealt with properly. And sometimes that the emotions behind it can cause you to treat that person unfairly when you allow yourself to be personally invested into the case. And so this is true for prosecutors and it's also true to judges. And you get what I'm saying? So
I do.
Yeah.
So I want to address. I definitely want to address the police thing because I know you're retired police, former police, and there's a certain bias, unconscious bias, if we could say that you might have there, and that I want to kind of pick apart. But the district attorney, I thought it's supposed to be justice for all. So like the district attorney can literally say, "Oh, I see that you're pressing charges against Grace Jabari, but I'm not going to pursue that and give her immunity." Like that. That's a thing. Like I didn't realize that's like a.
Well, it's not supposed to be articulated like that, but it can be interpreted as that because no one's going to just say that, right? Like I'm not going to just say that out loud. I have to make sure I'm acting under the color of law, right? But in my mind, I could be like, "Oh, nah, we know you abused her." Here's the problem with Jonathan Majors' case. Jonathan Majors did not allow for any grace. All right, no pun intended, right? Why do I say that? Because his text messages were so incriminating. So he comes off as the manipulator. So when you are telling a woman, "Don't go to the hospital, get injuries treated," because they're going to ask you questions and it's going to make me look bad again. And then when the police show up and you're saying, "I never hit her, but she has injuries to her finger. She has injuries to the back of her ear." And you're like, "I don't know where she got that from." And then you see text messages where you're talking about, "Well, I'm not happy. I'm gonna unalive myself." So again, he painted himself in a particular light that no one will argue that the decision of the DA and the decision of the jury doesn't have some legitimacy to it, right?
I can argue that it doesn't have some legit. I could see that I guess in my opinion, it doesn't have a strong sense of legitimacy to it. And then furthermore, the police, he called 911 and he ended up in handcuffs.
Doesn't matter if you call 911 first. That's a myth. Don't ever let nobody tell you that.
That's true. But what I'm saying is, like, based on the evidence that even what they showed with them showing up and everything like that,
right?
That to me didn't. And then there's rumors that the police actually coached her in terms of like the choking, and what have you. So it's like,
wait. So let me touch on that, and I'm gonna bring these text messages up. Let's go through these text messages together. Yes. So I didn't see the body cam. That's what was interpreted. I'd have to see it.
Well, they
I don't
they have the
disagree.
video, but they redacted the audio for some reason.
Okay, I don't. I'm. It's not uncommon where you have officers. They be like, "Are you sure he didn't do it? Are you sure?" Why do I say that? And this is what I was touching on earlier: is that you do have victims who try to defend the abuser, and we see it all the time. All right, we see it all the time. And to the officer's defense, you don't know if you're dealing with the woman. She's dating Jonathan Majors. He's not a regular degular scrub up the street. Right? She's in a penthouse, a multi-million-dollar penthouse, and he called the police on her. The police are looking at her injuries. One could argue that this happened because he called the police. She probably wasn't going to call the police, but I think he was scared and already knew he broke up with her and was trying to get ahead of the situation. And in this particular case, he called the police and said she's, whatever, she has these injuries. And I think he saw it all play out in his head. And I'm not saying he was wrong for what he did, but I think that they didn't believe him because it's not uncommon for a victim to lie for the abuser.
I've never seen a guy take this much precaution and get screwed at the end of the day. What this tells me is that as men, and I thought this was a stream to be like, what can men do?
Yeah.
It's tough, man.
Yes, it
is.
This
one's tough. This one, listen, he ran away. Yep. He called the police. He pressed the charges. They threw it out. Like this guy, like this is not this to me is not like a Tory Lane situation.
No,
like, and personality wise, I'm not gonna. I would hate for someone to judge me at my worst. So that's my opinion on that. I'm not going to use that to cast any aspersions that he's somehow this. I'm not doing that. That's not fair.
But no, it's not fair. But it's not fair. But he is being judged by his past character as it relates to current action. And but the lesson for men is don't create a pattern of this behavior. So therefore, when something does happen, it's you. So the issue is not so much what happened in the car. He was judged based off of his relationship with her, not the incident. I'm saying his charges should have been about the incident. He's being convicted based on the totality of his relationship with her. They're saying this is a pattern of abuse. And just because he may have just been pushing her back in the car, but based on this history, there's something more to it. And that's not right. But that's, again, when you come out here and you make choices, something as much as choosing a partner, you are signing up for a lifetime of responsibilities dealing with them, and that's unfortunately, this is the double standards that as men, and I know that we're subjected to. That's one-sided. Me and you know that.
Yeah, he didn't pop her in the mouth like Dana White. These are misdemeanors that he's getting publicly lynched for, and it's bullshit. I'm sorry. It's just, I'm not even like a manosphere type of guy, red pill type of guy. I'm just like, what else could this man have done? And I'm like, oh my God.
What he should have done is he should have removed himself out of this relationship with her a long time ago. As a man of his caliber, where he went wrong, he stayed in that relationship way too long. You waited until first of all, let's be clear, right? He did this to himself through the infidelity. Let's be clear.
No, I'm not. I can't do that.
No, why not? No. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it before we go into text messages. How did this thing start? We're not saying her actions were correct, right? We're saying that as a man you're responsible for your own self-being. If listen, you can't. The only person you can control is yourself. You cannot control other people. As men, we have to know this, right? Here's what happened. He is in a relationship with a woman. She's very well aware they're in a relationship together, okay? He is stepping out on his relationship, and his woman reacted to that, okay? So again, a lot of these men and celebrities get themselves in trouble, and they get fighting with their partners because they did something. He did something out and stepped outside the relationship, and she reacted to it. What I'm saying is this: as men, we can bring drama into our lives. Do you agree?
100%. Yeah.
Okay. Would you, as a married man,
I'm not married.
I know, I'm just asking.
Okay.
I'm saying, as a married man, would you bring another woman into your bed at where your wife sleeps at while she's not at home, right? Say you're a man and you're the director of, I don't know, say you're the principal of a college, okay? You know you're a man of prestige. This is your title. You're a married man, everybody knows it, okay? And you meet a woman that you want to mess with on the side. Would you bring her to your house and sleep with her in your bed?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
But that's like the look what you made me do argument.
No, but follow me though. Follow me.
Okay.
Why? Okay. And say your woman comes home, your wife comes home while you're with your mistress inside the house. All right. And she gets to fighting and yelling with you, and you guys get in a domestic. Okay. Inside the house. Whose fault is it?
It's it's easy to say it's the man's fault. Yeah. Yeah.
What do you mean? No. What do you mean? It's easy.
The person who, well, I won't even genderize it. The person who committed the infidelity.
There you go.
Yeah.
We got to be honest. As a man of his caliber, right? She is upset. Her reaction is wrong.
Yes.
Her reaction is absolutely wrong. His action created the problem in his career, is what I'm saying. And if you are a man who is concerned about your career and your lifestyle and livelihood, you cannot make those kind of mistakes.
But this is where I pick apart those types of arguments.
Let's do it.
I hate so relationships are messy. Okay? They're messy. Okay? This is why the divorce rate is what it is. This is life. So Jonathan Majors, say he was committing infidelity, right? Mm-hmm. So he's responsible for that argument. But what then prompted that said infidelity? There was a phone call where he's like, "You're coming in drunk, disturbing the peace of our home."
Okay.
Right. So then is there a pattern there? That's where this relationship is already on the rocks and complicated. So this is why I take all that stuff and I always just throw it out.
Pause. Okay, pause. I agree with you 100%. You're saying that because she was an unkept woman and she did these things and she essentially eroded the quality of the relationship, he now is like, I need to seek other services elsewhere.
It's possible.
It is possible. Let's run with that. I agree with you, brother. But in that moment, he should have did what? He should have removed himself from the situation. And the reason why I say that is because I've seen this play out time and time again, where you have women and men. Well, I remember when Facebook first came out, I was policing when it came out. And when I say the domestic violence went through the roof, okay? Because what you had old ass people getting on Facebook, linking up with people from elementary and shit, people from college. Man, I remember that thing. That girl put that thing on me. I just looked at her. What Tamika doing? Tamika Johnson. I remember Tamika Johnson had that top boy. And guess what? You find out Tamika Johnson in Texas, and you're in Georgia, and you link up online. And next you know, you're cheating with, and you're married. You're in a miserable ass marriage with Shaquita. And you wanted to pick Tamika, but it didn't work out, and you're miserable. You don't get no sex. Everything's horrible, and you're just sitting in your house with 3 kids throwing Power Rangers at the back of your head. But then Tamika reminds you of the good old days, right? And now y'all talking. Next y'all sending pictures. Next y'all sending videos. Next you know you're going on little lunch breaks, and she's gonna flew her out. Okay, so I would get these calls, and now I got to go through people's Facebook page, right? Back in the day, it was MySpace, Mi Gente. I used to go to Black Planet. I used to go to and we were investigating these cases. But what I'm saying to you is, as a man, like you said, she devalued the relationship somehow. He's miserable. I get it. But in that moment, your responsibility as a man, once you realize that this ain't gonna work, I'm over here having to correct her and do all this. he's a man. And what I'm saying is when you recognize you're a man of status, he said, I'm a great man dealing with a bottom feeder woman. It's his fault for dealing with a woman that's not great. And as a great man, you have to remove yourself from that. The moment he realized he's a great man and he's not with the great woman, you are at fault. And we say the same thing with women. The moment you realize you're dealing with a Tyrone and you still open your legs up, man, that's you.
I don't say that, by the way, because I understand relationships are complicated.
They are complicated.
He did remove himself because it's documented he was in the hotel that night prior.
At what point? Yes, he removed himself after the altercation. What I'm saying is, when you give a woman a speech about coming in drunk and you messing up the bag, I need you to act like Coretta Scott King. I need you to act like Michelle Obama. If that speech should have ended with, I don't think we're capable of working out together because you're not Coretta and you're not Michelle. You know, you're not. You know, right now you acting like Miley Cyrus, and it's not going to work. Okay, you acting like Miley Cyrus. I need Coretta Scott. Okay, so in that moment, the brother should have. He's given a speech about being a great man, and you've acknowledged you don't have a great woman, and she's not mature enough to handle your star, your celebrity, bruh. That's when you messed up. That's when you dropped the bag. It's your responsibility to remove yourself from the situation as a great man, and as great men, we need to know this. Just like Drake put hot sauce in his condom, right? Okay, right? As a great man, he knew what to protect his seed. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So again, I'm gonna do a stream about this brother on. He's a basketball player, and he got a chick pregnant. He gave her $100,000 to abort the baby. See, that's not great man behavior. You get what I'm saying? So we can't blame that woman now when she want to have the baby and hit you over the head with child support, and you worth $300 million as a
this Jonathan Majors wasn't. That's I was gonna say something really nasty, but that's ghetto trifling behavior. That is this situation with Jonathan Majors. It is somewhat kind of whitewashed, literally, but I don't see that what he did was that egregious, you know. But I don't want to take up anyone else's time.
No, you good, brother. Listen, I appreciate you, and I agree with you. It's not so much that it's egregious. I agree. It isn't. I think that they were trying to just charge him with anything that they could, and
for misdemeanor.
When they found out that he had charged her as well, they decided not to pursue it. That's a problem. So this needs to be appealed. Crazy. Yeah, it is. It is. And again, we see this happen to men a lot. All right. So do you think, let me ask you this real quick before you go, and I'm gonna pull up Uncle Stu. Is this a race thing or is this a gender inequality thing?
Both, yeah, for sure. Both. And I definitely see the racial component. I don't think it's I respect people who don't see color, but I operate in the real world. and I do operate in some of these spaces where I do well for myself. But there's something that's pretty off-putting about Black men who have their shit together. Okay? And I think the police that arrested him, I think there was some of that there. For sure.
It could have been. And there's only one way to really tell. We'd have to see all the footage. But what I'm saying, and I think for me, being able to share my perspective is that I see how these things unfold. Like I understand that, the evidence does not support the charges, right? They don't know when she got injured. They can't prove she got injured in the car. So just the basic standard of law is not being followed here in this case. Now you're saying there's a racial component. Okay, but one other thing I want to point out. Do you think that this happened to him because he was with a white woman, or do you think that if she was a Black woman that this wouldn't have happened?
I think this happened to him because he's a Black man.
Okay. So you think her race isn't really because
it's a factor. But I don't,
what people say, what I've seen a lot in this case is that this would have never happened to him if she was a Black woman, meaning that a Black woman is not capable of doing what Jabari did. What are your thoughts on that?
Like I said, she's low hanging fruit on this whole thing to me. Like this is a Yale educated Ivy League guy, got his shit together, and it's intimidating to a lot of folks. He was his stardom was like out of here. So
okay, I agree with you. I think the big issue, a big component of this issue people aren't talking about is the bias and the prejudice from the prosecutors.
Oh yeah,
prosecution side.
Even though the prosecutor's black, but you know,
but he's black, but he's liberal though. You get what I'm saying? He's black, but he's liberal, and I think that's the part people forget is that he's representing political views. So it's almost as if this was more so of a political statement in a sense. You know what I mean? And again, this just reminds me, it's kind of this Jussie Smollett thing, the lengths they'll go to try to defend, you know. So. Yeah, but I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you, man. Thank you. Always.
Merry Christmas and have a happy New Year.
You too, brother. Thank you again.
All right, bye.
All right. Uncle Stu in the building. Uncle Stu, sorry for the wait, brother. Sorry for the wait. Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute.
Nah, man. I had you. Can you hear me now?
I hear you loud and clear.
All right. Nah, I had a chance to hear everybody's comments, everybody's statements, everybody's side to the left, to the right. So, you know, it gave me a chance to really sit back and listen. You know, I got to call you out, though. My wife was watching a football game, and she said, "Where's her autograph, Nathan?" That's all I'm going to tell you.
So I got it. I'm going to send her a care package with a shirt and everything and a bug.
You know, but let's kind of deal with some of the things that you said. As you know, maybe your audience don't know, I am from New York. I do know the politics. I do know the New York City penal law. So I do understand a lot that's going on. So let's go to the penal law question. In New York, you will have a record of a violation. It's just that it won't carry from state to state.
Okay. All right.
So if let's say I jumped the turnstile, got a violation, I moved to Georgia, y'all would never see that I had a ticket for jumping the turnstile in New York. But if I was to go for a job and they wanted to do a local, you know what I'm saying, criminal background, it would show up there. May not hinder me from getting a job, but it would show up on the record. You also have to remember, and I put something in your back chat on the private chat. Right now, New York has been facing, at least within the last 3 years, they've been facing a real political issue dealing with
sexual assault.
Thank you. I didn't know which word to use for YouTube.
Yeah,
they've been dealing with that. So when you speak about it being black or white, I think what everybody has to understand, especially coming out of New York, you got to remember the governor was faced with these same charges. We had mayors that was faced with these same charges. You got to remember Diddy just went down facing these charges. So right now, politically speaking, they're on the hot seat. They couldn't just drop it because that's political suicide. Whether we like that idea or not, that's political suicide. So you got to remember the numbers is high according to the data. If you read the article, they're high.
Yes,
they're extremely high. So you know, I don't have to like it. You don't have to like it, but they.
So are they saying? Are they saying they're trying to be? Their political stance is they're trying to be tough on sexual assault offenses, and so because they're being tough on it, when these cases are coming through the courts, they are trying to make a statement, a political statement. And this is what I was telling the fellows earlier, that sometimes it's not always about race. Sometimes these things come from political pressure. It comes from different organizational groups that are putting pressure on these people's ability to run for office again and be elected. And so there's too much of that. And one could argue that's corruptive in nature.
It is.
Because you're not focusing on the elements of the crime, and you're looking at me as an opportunity to get reelected again.
Well, yes. And like the idea or not, if black men ain't standing behind a political group, and I'm not talking about Democrat, Republican, if they don't have an interest group,
they don't have an interest group. Yeah.
They don't have an interest group, number one. they're not really standing on anything.
Nope. Complaining.
You see what I'm saying? So there's no pushback when these things take place. So, you know, it's a quote unquote, damn if you do, damn if you don't. If you ain't doing nothing, you ain't in the politics, you ain't at the local places, you ain't forming no interest groups, then no one knows what your interest is. And guess who gets the dominant interest? The loudest voices in the room. Period. Right.
Yep.
So that's one situation. I think it's time, you know, I don't want to just say men do this, but you had a young lady on and she talked about, you know, men in domestic violence, they need to call the police. Well, as a man who has boldly been down that road before where I was a victim, that's usually the last thing a man want to do. Why? Because you'll be in a Jonathan Major situation, because 9 times out of 10, and in most cases, the man still gets locked up, even though he made the phone call. So she needs to understand that. CDC already reports that almost 50% of most domestic violent cases is men. But it's hard to charge women with those situations because most prosecutors are not going to charge. Why? Again, politics is involved. So where there's politics, they're not going to be as quick to do it unless, unfortunately, there's a deletion. You got to remember, we got to take the accusation as is. Where is the women's cry when you had an NFL football player who played for the Bills? He was accused, suspended from playing. They had video camera, and what happened? He wasn't even there at the time that this woman made the allegation, and he's still not playing.
And listen, let me add this to what you said earlier, and I think this goes over a lot of people's heads. Is that, and this goes to Dean, and Dean's probably still watching, and I meant to make this point because he was talking about she committed these crimes and that they dropped the charge. I tell you guys on the channel all the time, they do not like prosecuting women when they feel like women, when it comes off like, this is what they say, and it's been told to me before, and I've had to go out my way and take charges out on a woman for lying on me about something. And what they told me, and these are my superiors, told me, was that we don't want to discourage women from years. And they say, all right, well, if we punish her for lying, then other women aren't going to come out and tell the truth. That's their logic.
Correct.
That's their logic.
Correct.
And where it needs to be, we need to punish liars to prevent more liars from coming out. And so because women know this, they get a slap on the wrist and they go out and do it again. And so to your point, that is a political thing, and it's a social thing too, that men, all colors of men, have been conditioned in this country to believe that by punishing women for doing wrong, the same punishment you give the man is it's not appropriate to give the woman, because it'll discourage them from speaking out.
Correct.
So,
I mean, if and I'm going to give it on both sides. You got Mike Vick, who got accused, got on camera that he wasn't even around the woman that much. He couldn't even officiate. I mean, give commentary to the Super Bowl when you had 2 African-American quarterbacks.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So if we don't understand this dynamic and we don't get politically involved, I'm not talking about talking just on a platform. I'm talking about being personally involved, developing businesses, developing, these types of things. No, we're doing is just talking.
It's a lot of talking going on.
A lot of talking, too much.
A lot of talking. What are your thoughts on the charges as it relates to what he was actually convicted of? So for example, he was charged with harassment in the 2nd degree. So I didn't know New York laws wrote this way, but basically the reckless assault in the 3rd degree is basically reckless assault, meaning that you're doing something irresponsible and then she was injured in it. How does that make sense to you?
It doesn't, and that's why it was more jury by.
Shine some light from the NY. Shine some light from the NY. He was in engagement of dealing with her. He was fighting her. Essentially, he was fighting her off, and she got injured in the process. and they are saying that was reckless how he did it, and because he recklessly did that, he's being charged. That sounds so stupid. It sounds like a reach.
It is, and they did take a reach, and I think that don't be surprised if he takes this to an appeal court
and win,
and he's going to win. Yep. Because there's no way to defend that kind of an argument doesn't work. And it's so funny because not only did I ask my wife about this case, I had called my cousin who's also in New York, and nobody agreed with the outcome. And we're talking about women. Nobody agreed with the outcome. They didn't care, they wasn't looking at, who he was dating and all that other stuff. No one agreed with the outcome. Where I totally agree with you. And this is something that, yes, I'll get on any man about. If you're in a toxic relationship, run, period. Run.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because it ain't going to pan out well for you regardless.
Nope.
One thing that if I had to give advice to any man, I don't care what your color is, and for all the women, my wife can hear me because I got a loud voice. A woman can change if you do the wrong thing. She can change on you.
Yeah.
You mess around and cheat. That woman that was honey and spice and everything nice.
Yes.
And flip on you in a dime.
Yes.
And a dime. And I'm 56. I done seen it. I'm like you. I done seen some things. I done seen some things. So it can change. So
not to cut you off, I want to get your thought on that before we move on from that.
Okay.
Dean brought a good point up, and he said it's her fault. And I said, no, as a man of means, it's my responsibility to ensure that I am positioning myself in the best way to protect my image, my status, my finances. Unfortunately, when you are the breadwinner, right? When you're the celebrity, you have to be responsible for yourself. This is how you brought up Mike Vick. That's how Michael Vick got himself in trouble. Mm-hmm. He's a celebrity. They hold you at a higher standard, whether you like it or not. And you know this because as a celebrity, if you mess up, you're going to lose your job. If you do something stupid, you're going to lose your job. If you mess up your brand, you're going to lose your job. And so Majors knows this. So by if he's doing something that causes issues. So in your opinion, is Jonathan Majors at fault in totality behind this situation?
Yeah, because I believe he had close friends that probably told him.
Yeah.
And he thought he was better. And I think, when you talk about that, we have to remember, if you got something to lose, he had a lot to lose. You're not married.
You're dealing
with a girlfriend.
Yeah,
we're in two totally different ball games here.
That's so true.
You got a lot to lose. And if you messing with someone that doesn't have anything to lose, dude, you're already in danger.
You're already in danger.
And again, you're an actor. It's not like you and your wife built a business together and you know what I'm saying? Okay, look, you take half, I take half, and we split.
Right.
We're talking about you are the star. You are the breadwinner. You got a girlfriend that can't act right out of anybody. You know better because your boy just got this with Steve Harvey's daughter. So you seen what happened.
Seen it.
You are on the inside of Hollywood. You know that if y'all split, what the woman's able to do freely. Go to every single podcast and talk junk about it. You ain't gonna be able to say a word.
And ruin your name based off of that.
Exactly.
He didn't have to ever put his hands on her for her to destroy his career. She could be like, oh, he's this, he's that, or he watches that, and next his whole image. So again, let me say this too, because I want to show you this text message. I want to get your thoughts on this. Because he's not innocent in this. And I think the whole reality is he's not just this innocent guy who was with this chick and then this unfortunately happened. We're talking about image, and the person who comes to mind is the black guy. This is a perfect example. He He did the movie about Nat Turner. He was the director of the movie. He was also up and coming. We haven't heard from this brother since. He played in a movie recently about the police where he kidnapped some cops, held up a police station hostage. What is his name, you guys? Actor, good actor too.
I know who you're talking about, but I can't think of his name as well.
Nat Turner. This is important. Why? But this goes to what you're saying about, one, he knows Hollywood. Two, he also knows the outcome of other men before him,
right,
who were in similar situations. So I don't really, what was it called? The Nat Turner movie? Let me see. And it was so bad. Oh, Birth of a Nation.
Right.
Birth of a Nation and Nate Parker. Do y'all remember this guy? Let's
you got a picture?
Yeah. I'm about to pull it up.
Okay.
This is Nate Parker. Y'all remember him? Why is Nate Parker important? Do you remember how they okay, one could argue they destroyed this man's career. Another person can argue that he destroyed his own career by choices that he made and how his past came back and haunted him.
Yeah.
From choices that he made in college with the sexual assault case that did happen. And then he's coming out to make these powerful movies and he was doing good. They boycotted him. And people protested against his work. And guess what? That's all you heard from Lil Nate. You don't hear from him no more like that. You know, and he ruined his whole career based off of some stuff that happened in the past. And so again, and guess what? A woman was involved.
We
was involved.
I don't think people realize the seriousness. Just seen an article where they try to go after LL Cool J in lyrics he wrote over 20-something years ago. You see what I'm saying? So we got to understand how serious this is. 20, 30 years ago, you didn't have the internet.
Right. Yes. That's correct.
You didn't have the internet. Now you have the internet. It doesn't take long to smear your name now.
Nope.
Doesn't take long. And you're going to have people who they're going to say you're guilty, even if every single evidence proves you innocent. People's going to still see you as guilty.
Just because the affiliation, just because the accusation alone.
Right. Yeah. And see, we have to understand something about African-American culture. You're already going to have the bitterness because you're a black man with a white woman.
Very true.
That's one reality.
Yeah,
you're a black man with a white woman. So you already got sisters pissed at that part.
Right.
Then you bring up Michelle Obama. And it's like, oh nah, you just put fuel on the fire.
Yeah.
To make this white woman into two classic black women. So you kind of shouldn't have said that one. I agree with. I think one of your callers like, man, you should have found a white woman.
He made a good point. He made a good point.
You see what I'm saying? So so in that regard, it was like, nah, now you trying to gain your black card back, but bro, you done messed that up.
So how do you feel when you hear women say this? And I've seen a lot of this, and it was disappointing because it's not the first time. Why black women they have such a visceral reaction towards black men who date outside their race. And in this particular case, they said he deserves it. He deserves whatever he gets. He shouldn't have been with a white woman. What is that? What's the first thing that comes to mind when you hear that?
Okay, well, you gotta understand.
Say he deserves what he got coming to him because he was with a white woman.
Okay. To bring clarity to everybody in the audience, everybody got to understand I'm a much older generation.
But tell them your wife is white though. So tell them
hey, my wife ain't white, bro. Don't let me have to go get her, man. See, I'm about to go get her.
I'll just play. No, he got a strong black sister. Go ahead. What is and regardless though, time and everything, but what when you hear that, what does that say? What is that? How does that what comes to your mind when you hear them? And these are millennials, zennials. These are new black girls and black women. This ain't like black women from the damn 60s. We talking about up and new sisters, fresh out the womb 16 years ago. Young black girls are saying this. So what is that about?
I can only answer it from my generation because I'm Generation X.
All right.
And the historical context of black men being lynched on trees just for looking at a white woman.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? And even at 56, although I'm born and raised in New York, I got that South Carolina roots.
Okay.
And so, you know what I'm saying? I was heavily strong in that understanding what happens in the dirty South.
Okay. Okay.
And whatnot. So
Uncle Stu.
That still resonates.
Uncle Stu, stop the cap. You telling me you never dipped and dabbed and
nah, man, I ain't never went to milk. I'm straight chocolate, baby. Look,
Uncle Stu
I ain't never dipped in the milk, man. I'm straight chocolate.
All right, Uncle Stu. I ain't gonna put you on the spot. I know the wife watch.
This is all right. Now I've been around the world, but I stay with the chocolate.
But so let me ask you this then. Is there anything wrong with a black man having a relationship with a woman that's not black? Is that do you think that's fair for black men to have to hear that type of rhetoric? To where it's you deserve this. Now, mind you, this is what's being said. This happened to you, your career's over, your money's gone, everything happened to you because she's white. And if you're with a black woman, this would have never happened to you. What is your thoughts on that? Is that even true?
Right. New generation, I can't argue with who a black man wants to date. Much younger generation is in a totally different mindset than I am. I always tell everybody, for me, I'm blessed to have the wife that I have. You know what I'm saying? But I know that dating scene is rough out there. I know the women out there, they rough. And I always tell mine, if you leave, I'm going overseas. I'm out. I'm passport, bro.
If you leave, I'm overseas.
But on a serious note, the dating scene is rough, and I see it. Prior to me getting married, I was out there, so I seen it, and I am seeing a serious cultural shift. And because of that cultural shift, and I grew up in the 90s, so I seen the shift in the sense of how black men was being treated, how they being talked about. If women want an example, I'll show you an example that just happened to Cam Newton. I'm just baffled behind that one. And so I have to be with the younger brothers that you love who you love, because you're going to love what's in your proximity. And most black men that reach a certain level or go towards certain trades is probably surrounded only by a certain proximity. Of course, I would like black men to marry black women, etc. But I also got to recognize I'm much older. I come from a different line of generation. I come from a different philosophy. But I have to respect what I'm also seeing in the younger generation. So, do I feel he deserved that because he was with a white woman? No, because I totally disagree if they say, well, if he was with a black woman, this wouldn't happen. I totally disagree, because again, if let's just say that was him and any other black female, he probably would have got it worse. And I'm gonna tell you why I felt he would have got it worse. New York City is predominantly black, Puerto Rican, and Dominican. He would have got it worse. You know what I'm saying? Because the political power in the 5 boroughs would have definitely been on his behind. It would have definitely been on his behind, and the sister girl code would have definitely been on fire.
Got him.
They would have got him. They would have got him.
Nah, good point.
He could forget Disney and any other movie he wanted to make. He'd be done.
Yeah. Nah, good point. Good point, Uncle Stu. And I appreciate you, brother. Let me round of applause for the Uncle Stu.
Yeah,
and y'all, hey, shout out to
the white man. I should make her come in here and tell you about yourself.
Shout out to you, Uncle Stu. You guys go and check. Drop your link in. Please go and check out his channel. I love the new content. He's switching things up.
Yeah.
Go and support the brother. I'm gonna bring up the next caller, Uncle Stu. Any
All
closing
right.
thoughts? Yeah.
All right. Now have a good one. Thank you very much, sir.
You too, brother. Good to see you again.
Yes, sir.
All right. You know, it's interesting. Just kind of like the one-sided, you don't ever see black men telling black women this is what they deserve because they're with the white man, right? You have black women, unfortunately, who may be involved in a domestic violence situation. They're a celebrity, or they had a bad divorce. You don't ever see a black man or groups of black men saying that, hey, this would never happen if you were. No, we don't do that. We don't do that. And I think it's so ignorant. You know what I mean? You get caught up. And I know a lot of the guests came up, great conversation, great input. And I agree with a lot of things that they said, that unfortunately, this could be a combination of a lot of different things, right? Politics, race, poor judgment, poor choices, just a lot. And then Hollywood conspiracy and all kind of other stuff. I just wouldn't be surprised if a little bit of everything was involved in this situation. But when I did this video, the first video saying he's not guilty, because he's not guilty. And this rabbit that they pulled out of their hat to make this thing work is sad. It really is sad. But this is one of the things that I think is so interesting. We see couples like Serena Williams and this rich young man right here. If they got into a divorce or a breakup or something to that effect, what you're not going to see is a bunch of black men saying you should have married a black man. This is what you get, right? You're not going to see that. Shout out to our Ebony K. Williams, right? She married this man and she divorced this man. All right. No one is saying to her, if you want what you're asking for, you need to get with a black man. No, find a man that wants to be with you. You don't hear black men spewing that type of rhetoric. But I promise you guys, when you go into some of these posts and it's an interracial couple, it's always the women. It's the women that have the most disgusting, the most ignorant, the most childish comments as it relates to these people who are together. You don't see the men doing that. Who else we got on this list here? But you have others like who else did I bring up in that clip? Who's this? Oh, we got it. We got another one. Which you don't see black men talking about Kamala Harris, right? You don't see black women getting on Kamala Harris about this, right? I'm talking about the double standard. You don't see that. It's okay for black women to do it, but a black man can't do it. First of all, I love this guy, Pacey, right here. For those who grew up watching Dawson's Creek, I love that show. He's a great actor. Look at this sister right here. Nubian chocolate. I don't see nobody posting about her. No black women are posting about her choice. Right? And she's hot. She's hot. Serena again, strong with it. That's a strong black woman. That's a strong. Whew, whew. Can you imagine? Lord have mercy. Listen, Evie Eve with $1 billion. He's like a billionaire, I think, something crazy. Who's that girl? Na 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 na. Eve's that girl. Y'all remember that? Look who she with. Look who she married. From sex tape to this to that, ran through in the industry. to get married to a billionaire. Make it make sense. You don't hear black men saying nothing about it. That's Jonathan Major's arm. That's his injuries. That's the injury to his face. That's what the brother with Dean was talking about, how they got these charges and, you know, they let her walk away scot-free. You know, they charged her and then that was kind of it. You know, I just here, and then lastly, let's do this text message real quick. I really want to go through this text message real quick before we close out, because it's you know, I think everybody made great points. Everybody made great points tonight as it relates to this particular case. That it isn't just the actions of two people, it's the actions of the prosecutors, the actions of the DA's office. You know, there's a lot of moving parts in here. But what could he have done? What was his responsibility? His responsibility was to check to protect his image and his brand. You know, when he starts making these, you know, Jonathan Major, again, she provided all this, you guys. She provided all this. She didn't have to provide all, she provided all this. This is what Jonathan Major says to her. You can't reject love if there is no real love. It's just lip service. I gave you love last night and this morning before I got out of bed. What is Jonathan saying? He's saying, listen, I beat the brakes off of it. I gave you what you needed and it wasn't good enough. Right? What is he saying? When you got up, you were not full of love at all. I didn't feel it at all. He's saying that I'm over here giving you something, but I'm not getting it in return. He's already talking about the relationship is done, you guys. It's done. He's not feeling fulfilled in this relationship. He already knew what was going on. You could have just given me a hug or walked close to me or asked me if you could give me a hug, not the other way around. It works both ways. I will probably, I don't know if this is supposed to be kill myself. It's not really contemplating anymore. He says, I'm a monster, a horrible person, a horrible man, not capable of love. I am deleting myself soon. I've already put things in motion. Her response, Jonathan, you can't say this. I'm going to have to call someone. These are his text messages. These are his text messages. Excuse me. He says, as a woman of color, our black men don't quite have what they need to become successful men. They want easy and out sorts of white women that the top white man doesn't want. Deidra, you want to come up and explain this? The moderator dropped the link for her. She wants to come up. I want to hear you articulate this. I want to hear you articulate this. I want to hear, because this doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. But I'd love to hear your thoughts if you want to explain that. As a woman of color, are black men that don't quite have what they need to become successful men. Okay. They want easy and outsource white women that the top white men doesn't want. That's false. That's false. That's unequivocally false. And those are YouTube and social media talking points. that aren't rooted in anything factual. That's false. How do I come on? The moderators will drop the link. You say, my brother has never touched a black woman. He has fallen far below exception. How do I come on? Moderators, drop the link for Miss Deidra. I want to hear her break this down because I'm really curious on her thoughts. I think it's a very interesting perspective. And while she's doing that, I want to look at these text messages. All right, so again, you guys, this is what I'm saying. He was participating in the toxicity of this relationship. He says he's a great man, but he wasn't acting greatly. Right? In actuality, he's showing that he's actually a broken man. He's actually a broken man. So he makes this comment about, I'm going to be taking my life soon. This is what he's telling her, you guys. Unless this is real, then he needs counseling. If this is not real, then he's gaslighting her. But a great man doesn't say that. All right? A great man doesn't say that. Jonathan, you can't say this. I'm going to have to call someone. This is her response. She says, I'm sorry for not hugging you this morning. I really am. I was sleepy and disoriented by the fact you thought I would break your necklace. You guys, this is a toxic relationship with two unhealthy people. She says things, he says things. He's saying that I'm not getting loved. I gave you love. I didn't feel like I got love back. I don't feel like you're giving me the same love I need. I'm going to go take my life. I'm just a monster because you don't want to hug me. You guys, this is one-on-one manipulation and gaslighting. Jonathan Majors being found guilty, Jonathan Majors being fired from Marvel is a direct response to how he was conducting his relationship. The relationship that he has control over. You guys, this is what people are seeing. Come on, Deidra, you got the link? I want you to come up, Deidra. I dropped the link. Deidra said, I gotta get fancy. Shout out to Anthony Burchett. Thank you so much for the super chat. Said African Americans are an endangered species because there's no African American country that will replenish us. That's false. That's false. That's false because we're actually globally with a dominant group. With a dominant group globally. This is not true. We're not an endangered species. What we are in America is a minority group in the US. But no, we're not an endangered group. If anything, that's the problem. The problem is being black actually can eliminate whiteness, right? So essentially, if as a black man, I end up impregnating a white woman, that baby comes out with a little summertime tint to it. And then if that summertime tint baby gets with another black man or a black woman and they have a kid again, guess what? That child gets a little bit darker. That child gets melanin is a powerful thing. All right. We might be minorities in this country, but no, we're dominant globally, for sure. For sure. And we have to be careful with that rhetoric. Because the reality is interracial dating, even in this country, is actually a very small percentage, but they'll have you believe that it's like this new up and coming trend. You guys, this is America. This is a giant melting pot of people, giant melting pot of people. Black Gal says, I disagree, Nathan. I don't see most black guys in this situation with white women of substance. Good character, a future by themselves. That's false. That's false. And you know, again, you guys, it's not true because there are people from all classes that interracially date. If you're only seeing lower class interracial couples, I assure you guys there's middle class and there's upper class. Eve is a perfect. I just showed you Eve. I mean, again, it's just not true. You know, it's not true. Deidra, you gotta just hit the link. I'm gonna put the link in the chat. Once you click on the link, it'll come up automatically. All you gotta do is press this link, the one that I'm dropping right there in the chat. Just hit that, and it'll pull up all this stuff. And then you just turn the camera on, and then we're gonna have this conversation. I want to hear your thoughts. Okay, you said African Americans are we're not an endangered species here in the U.S. Okay, so to your point, you said African Americans, but this point doesn't make any sense. Okay, you said endangered species here. Black people are endangered species. This is from Anthony. Anthony's. African Americans are endangered species because there's no African American country that will replenish us. We don't need anybody to help replenish us, right? Like we can replenish ourselves here. You have to remember, we abort a lot of babies in this country. We abort as being the a smaller percentage of the mass or the group in this country. We abort more babies than our counterparts. So those are all potential black people that could have been born that are not born because we've aborted them. We kill each other at high rates, higher than the other side, higher than white people, right? So we commit more homicide than the 60%. We abort more babies than the 60%. So again, we're in danger of our own actions are causing these numbers to dwindle in our communities. It's not because someone is technically doing it to us. You know, we're doing it to ourselves, right? Respectfully. So no, I disagree with that. But yeah, I want to hear you guys' thoughts. Come up on the stream. I want to hear what you got to say. What what the disagreement is. I really want to know. So as you guys are figuring out that, let me keep going through these text messages. She goes and she says, I'm sorry for not hugging you this morning. I really am. I was sleepy and disoriented by the fact you thought I would break your necklace. She says, I love you so much, obviously. What do you mean you've put this in motion? What is he saying? He's gaslighting you guys. He's telling her that he's put this in motion. I see you, Deidra. I'm about to bring you up. And she said, what do you mean you put this in motion? I mean, you're already planning and plotting your self-deletion. You guys, come on, right? All right, Miss Deidra, let me bring you up. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the channel. Give you a little clap.
Let me turn you down a little.
Thank you. I'm so excited to hear your thoughts on this. I think you made a very interesting point. So tell us what are your thoughts? What was the point you were making in reference to the racial dynamic? So tell us what are your thoughts? What was the point you were making in reference to the racial dynamic? It's like a delay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, you got to pause the YouTube in the background so it doesn't give the feedback. If you have YouTube playing.
No. I'm watching.
Oh, you're watching? Okay. Yeah, just you can mute it then. That should be okay.
Okay. Is that better? Like,
yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so what are your thoughts? I know you made a very interesting point. Explain to me what your point is, and let's talk about it.
I don't know. I just like for I can't hear. Hello?
I can hear
Oh,
you.
I was gonna say I don't know, just like in the age group and the where I've been and what I've seen, like I'm not prejudiced. Like I'm 70% European, so through my family. Like I understand that, but what I think, I don't know if you watched Charleston White, but he answered a question on a podcast the other day, and they said, "Well, why do you think black men choose women outside of the black race?" And he said, "Because it's easy." He said,
Hmm.
"Because we don't have to haggle with them and go back and forth for things that they want." He said, "We do it for weakness."
Okay, so let me pause you right there.
Oh, well, I'm not saying
Mhm.
that everyone does it, but I'm just saying like history has shown itself. Even going back to my lineage, my grandfather, you know, he couldn't bring his biracial child around because back then, they would have killed him had they known this Irish man got with
Right.
a
But
black.
right, and I think we all know the history, how the interracial relationships were not it weren't tolerated, it wasn't acceptable, right? Like, so we know that, but we're talking about today's time. Those things don't exist. People may have their personal feelings about it and so forth and so on, but obviously this world and this country has come a long way because now people are changing genders and all kind of stuff, right? So there's a different level of tolerance now. So what I'm saying is, to your comment, and we're going to talk about Charleston White. You said, as a woman of color, are black men that don't quite have what they need to become successful men. What do you mean by that?
Okay, I didn't mean like successful in life. They can do successful things, but like look at what's going on right now with him. He's a successful man,
Hmm.
and now all of his work is like on the line. It's at jeopardy. And
And is that because he was with a white woman?
well, you know what? I wouldn't have done. I don't know. I wouldn't have. I know. I've said I have a fiance. I wouldn't do. I wouldn't do that.
Is your fiance white or is he black?
Oh, black as you. It's just your color.
But what is the argument that you're making? Are you saying that this is happening because he's not with a black woman? Is what I'm getting at.
A lot of it is to pacify. It goes back to Rosewood, and I just think that she didn't recognize. I think like Michelle Obama recognized what her husband was doing. So
Okay.
when you support a black man in a certain position, you just know like I can't. She held a lot of stuff down. I could, I'm law enforcement too. In my
Okay, that's what's up.
So what I'm saying is that I read like you read.
Hmm.
I've been evaluating behaviors all my life. So like
Hmm.
I could tell when Michelle was mad, like at Barack.
Right.
I could, that's a sister. I could see the things, she was holding back. So it's like we're not gonna run, too quick to put you in that position. And I would never put my man in that, situation, not
Yeah,
less
okay, well, okay, pause. I agree with what you're saying as far as you wouldn't do it. Are
right.
you telling me that you haven't seen any black woman in today's society that has put another black man who was successful in jeopardy and also his career in jeopardy? Are you saying you've never seen that happen? Are you saying black women aren't capable of doing that to a successful black man?
Yes, oh, they can. But
Okay.
I
So
think
so but, yeah, so that's the point I'm trying to make, is that this isn't about white or black. This is about behavior, right?
a lot
Character.
of it is behavior too.
Okay.
The behavioral part is the part that like um I spoke on my own brother.
Okay.
And he has like 6 kids, and he's been married twice, and I know he's never been with a black woman.
So all of his kids are white. He's had kids with all white women.
I have all 5 nieces and nephews, and they're all mixed.
And he does not date black women, basically.
He has never. He's
40. So what are you saying? You saying your brother's never touched a black woman? Why is that relevant?
Well, I know him, and
you're saying he wants something that's easy, someone he can control, right?
Right.
How do you explain the black men like NBA YoungBoy, Future, Nick Cannon, who do the exact same thing, and these are black women?
Right. But what I'm not trying to make a difference and say there's discretionary racism, and like you say, under the radar. I'm not saying that we don't interact, or I have problems like everyone else, but I think like when I'm upset, I haven't gotten to that point anyway, but I wouldn't jeopardize like his job, his career. That's what I mean by going
right. But let me stop you there. I agree with what you're saying, but you're trying to say that this has something to do with race and not the woman's character. Because you just said if it was you wouldn't have jeopardized his career because you know how to act as a woman. So you wouldn't have put him in a bad position. Right. Yeah, but what I'm saying to you is white women do that, Asian women do that, Hispanic women do that. This has nothing to do with race. This has everything to do with character and maturity. I'm saying, why are you putting race into the equation when this is about a woman's character?
I think it's all of that.
Okay.
That's why they're coming down on him so hard. Behind the scenes, I'm in the South. I'm in South Carolina.
Okay.
And everything is not just okay. The same.
I get it.
With I call them the alphabet. I can't remember all those.
Yeah.
But they're here, but hey, everybody ain't with it,
Right, correct.
And then the same thing is for the biracial couples, and the black women don't get it. Like, we don't get jumped on like the black man.
Why is that? Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I don't have an interest in one, so I can't. I told you.
So let me ask you this. So when you're making a comparison earlier, because I want to go through your comment, and you're basically, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying that these black men choose white women because these white women are easier to get, or they allow them to be pushovers. Is that kind of what you're going? Or the white women don't have standards on black men, but black women have standards, and that's what black men don't like, which is why they get with white women.
It goes back. I don't know what Charleston was on.
Okay.
I can't remember what
Charleston was on a podcast, and he stated that black men.
He started talking about racial things.
Okay.
His baby's mothers are Mexican and black.
Who Charleston White's?
Yes.
Okay, and what did he say?
And they asked him, cheese, say cheese. That's what it was on. And they asked him, why you date? Is that messed up to date somebody outside of your race? And Charleston was like, yeah. He said, well, I'm married to a woman outside of I'm with a woman. I have children with a woman outside. He just messed up with his marriage. So he was married to her, but they said, well, why? He said, because they're easy. He said a black woman, counters everything you do. And, we just hold a certain statute. And he said they don't.
What do you mean? Okay, let me pause you right there before you continue. He said they're easy. What do you think he meant by that?
My brother, when he was married to the first.
What do you think? No. What do you think Charleston White meant?
Like the background, what I've seen. I haven't been too far into anybody's marriage. But what I've seen, and I used to tell on him, I'm like, Shell, don't let him do that. He's doing this. Don't allow him to do this, especially to you and the kids.
Okay, so I see let me pause you again. I see what you are misinterpreting what Charleston White was saying.
No.
No, what? So then tell me what you think Charleston White meant when he said easy.
I think that Charleston meant that when it comes down to like what things okay, me as a Black woman, I'm hard because I've had to be hard. When I say hard, meaning like
difficult.
Too much. I'm not, I know how to do myself. I know how to be. I'm married.
You're difficult. You're difficult to deal with.
No,
No,
not difficult. I know my place, but I'm just not gonna allow any and everything to happen without a thought to it that could make things better. That's it. So a lot of things go. I saw a lot of things go on that he could have contributed to their marriage and made it better, but he was just doing what he could, what he wanted to, and I didn't like it. My father, I grew up in a 2-parent household, on both sides of my family. My father did not believe in, having children outside of his marriage. He said your DNA is precious. You keep it within the realms of your, wife. And I mean, I just grew up like that. Right. And I'm not like, I'm telling you, my grandfather was white. He's Irish.
All right. So we're having multiple conversations. I want us to focus on Charleston White. Charleston White made a statement and he said that they're easy. I think that you misinterpreted what he was saying. He was talking about women being more cooperative than the Black women that he's dated. Yeah. And they asked him a question and said, why do Black men date out? Right? He said, because other women are easy. He's talking about their ease of peace. They're more peaceful to deal with. They're less combative. They're less argumentative, right? You took it as easy as they like to be controlled and taken advantage of. No, that's not what he meant.
No, he didn't mean. No, he said it wrong. I mean, I actually recorded it.
Okay, you said he said it wrong.
No, he didn't say it wrong. It's just I watched and I understood what, and I went back. I reflected back to what I had known.
Okay, but you took it the wrong way.
No,
no. One can say you could be a little difficult right now.
Yeah, mine always say I'm
oh, hold on.
He always says, D, you're not the man in the relationship.
Oh, well, goddamn. so hold on, Deidra. So your man say you look. Are you submissive?
Yes, I've been a wife. I know how to give and do my part.
What? But he said you being the man though in the relationship, right? He said you act like the man.
He says you always you're not the man, But I'm gonna tell you where that comes from.
No, you good. Listen.
Yeah.
No, you good. Let me ask this last one. I'm curious on your thought. And again, all this came from the initial comment. And this is the thing that we have to push back on.
Okay.
Is this idea, and it's not correct, right? And it's a rhetoric that gets pushed out in our community that Black men prefer white women because we want to run over them, because we want to control them. But what happens is no one likes to have the conversation about why Black men choose other women is because men are looking for peace. They're looking for women who are peaceful, women who are respectful. And there are plenty of Black women that are like that. And there are plenty of Black women that aren't like that. But what happens, we always want to talk about the 5%, right? Yeah. Interracial dating in the Black community is not that large at all.
No.
And so again, but the misleading statements that are made and the false narratives that are actually constantly put out there by, unfortunately, Black women is that these men are dating these women because these women allow themselves to be controlled and manipulated. And like someone said, I think you posted this, is that these are the white women that the white men don't want.
I saw a text, a posting about that the other day. Is they said that someone said they said that these are not top notch, you know, and the one, yeah, they said these are the ones that they don't even really care about.
No, and but that's false.
Right, it is false.
It's false, and let me tell you why it's false. Because everybody dates on class. Class is a real thing. Classism. So there's poor whites, middle class whites, and upper class whites.
Well, no, I'm not. I guess
no,
I'm
no.
not.
What I'm saying is, when people make the statement of these are the ones the white men didn't want, that's a false statement, because there's attractive white women with black men out here. Okay, and again,
with that.
Okay, good. So I just like to push back on that narrative. At the end of the day, people fall in love with who they decide to fall in love with and who they feel love them. All right. And I think that needs to be the narrative. Let me ask you a question about this case, because that really I wanted to hear your thoughts on.
I was gonna say Charleston White even referred to the Bible and how he said, you know, he talked about the peace. And he said, yeah, it says in the Bible, a man is better off, you know, on the roof of his home, you know, and he brought that up while he was speaking about they're peaceful. He was just like giving off the, you know,
what is the Bible? Let me ask you this. What does the Bible say about an unruly woman? Right? You're better off on the roof of your house than dealing with the unruly. So again, a woman, now we got to be clear.
Okay.
Men prefer women that are respectful.
Yes.
Women that give us respect. That's how men interpret love. If you are cantankerous, if you are unruly, if you are difficult to deal with, right? If you are a menace to society in the house, that is not appealing. It's not pleasing, and men don't want that. So again,
I've been accused of that.
Okay, and I can imagine. I can imagine. But it doesn't mean you're not a good person, right?
Oh,
I can tell you're an amazing person. I can tell you're an amazing person.
I've been teaching. I've been in law enforcement. My background is in law enforcement. I've been, you know, I work with the rough kids, you know, DJs, and I work in the school district. And I don't see color because I have too much in me to be prejudiced.
You all mixed up. Listen, let me ask this. Are you your husband's peace or are you his prison?
Oh, I'm his peace. He wouldn't come around if I was just all, you know, trouble. Now he tells me when I'm you know,
when you
I'm questioning, and you know, and he just says, "Be quiet, just be quiet."
Let me ask you: Do you have any sons?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And I'm raising him to be that man that I always wanted, you know.
Oh, is that so? What is
He's 22, he's 20, he's in college, and my baby comes home with some beautiful brown Nubian princesses. I don't know.
Okay. Hey. Let me ask you this. Would you tell your sons to marry a woman like you?
No, but you know what my son does? He said, "Mama, you white." Cause of my DNA breakdown. So what I tell him,
we can't just glance past that.
So, but he says that to like see how I'm gonna react. And so he's saying like you can't be prejudiced if I bring something else home. And so
he's right.
Yeah, he's trying to pad it, you know.
Right.
But my son comes to me and he tells me, one time he came to me and he said, "Mom, I have a new friend." He said, "But I want to let you know she's multiracial."
Okay.
And I said, "What is she?" He said, "She's just mixed, black and white." I said, "Okay." But I didn't hear her name anymore. I don't know what happened. He's picky. But
do you teach? Let me ask you this: Do you teach your sons to find women that
I want him to have a strong? I want him to have a strong woman.
Okay.
That can deal with him as he is. you know, I call it a power woman.
What's a power? Describe that. What's a power woman?
A power woman.
What's a power woman?
A person that enters a room that may not know anyone in there, but before she leaves, she carries her own, and she has things going on, and you have to have trust. You have to have, you know, a lot of things poured into your partner because of the way they move, like the president. Like Michelle knew, hey, I got, you know, I can't just go off in the White House. Like, you know, like
listen, you are sending your son down a dangerous road.
No, I'm not. No, I'm
You're
not.
not?
He's free. No, he just left a PWI and on a full scholarship to
Oh
go.
no, I'm not saying he's not doing good. I'm
No,
talking about what type of woman he should be searching for. You're saying a woman
that
who can
complements him in all the
okay,
things that he need. He's very, you know, intellectual. He
okay,
plays basketball. He's on a scholarship, and you know, pick women that are going to complement your life and what your interests are. You know,
okay.
he doesn't deserve to be fussed at because he wants to play basketball when that's what got him where he is. Not just that. No, his education got him where he is.
Correct. But he shouldn't be with a woman that's fussing at him.
But if he wants to go out the house, he's had 2 girlfriends, and I gave him the 5 rules. I said, no, look, we know who number 1 is, right? So don't even worry about that. So you know, second was his schoolwork, and then that basketball, and then his friends, and then I said, then he'll work you in.
Okay.
Yeah. And I said, I gave him the keys, you know, the magic keys.
Yeah.
One of them just messed up, just like challenged him on why he wanted to go to the YMCA and play basketball.
And you had to shut it down.
And he cut him off. Like he's not, you know, he's a focused young man.
So let me ask you this. What let me ask you this. As it relates to Jonathan Majors, what do you think Jonathan Majors did wrong in his situation?
That's messed up. That's really I never saw that video of what you showed yesterday.
Okay.
Of him running away from her. We do that. Yeah. You come back. I gotta finish. You know,
right.
We want to get our point across.
Right.
So, and we want you to listen. And I've just gotten to a point in my life where I just say, okay, I'm gonna leave him alone. You know.
So you don't be chasing after the man no more like that.
Not him anymore. We've been together like 13 years.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Right now, he's better off sleeping or quiet. You know. I leave him alone. You know.
Yeah.
Because it's better for me. I get more when I bother him. I'm learning.
You're learning. It's okay. It's a learning thing. Let me ask you. What would you tell your boys if they were in this situation? You got one boy. What would you tell your son in this situation if it's similar to Jonathan Majors? What advice would you give him?
I'm gonna tell you something I said, and it was wrong. But I've seen a couple of cases, like I told you.
That's right. Former officer, yeah.
There's a young man from here, from Greenville. He went straight to a D1 school. I watched this child go all the way through high school, focused on basketball and his grades, not even, you know, communing with girls. Beautiful young man. I knew what was going to happen down the line.
Right.
He went off to college, D1, and they went to a party. The girl followed him, came back to his dorm with his roommate, which is from Ethiopia. I think he was Nigerian. And the girl, he didn't want her, so the girl left and said, "Oh, he raped me, he held me." They got him on, like, you know, it's easy to get a kidnapping charge. All you gotta do is stop somebody from walking out a door, and then they want to call it kidnapping
or false imprisonment is what they would do. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So he lost everything. He lost his whole scholarship. He would have been in the NBA right now.
Yep.
Good kid. So I talked to my son about things like make sure, you know, you're talking to somebody that's not dating anyone. You know, find somebody like yourself. Just that's it. Find someone that has the same interest, you know, and understand, right off, he's just not going to be with a woman that's easy, like giving up for herself.
So basically saying, as a man who's doing good, and you've seen this, a jealous woman can make lies and ruin your life, right?
Yes, and that's what I'm like most afraid of. He's not very knowledgeable because he's been focused on his grades and ball, and he hasn't dated a lot. So
and there are women out here that'll take advantage of
yeah,
him.
and like now I tell him, leave that room like a crime scene.
Yeah.
I said,
yeah.
He said, no DNA, mama. I said, no DNA. He didn't do the Drake, but I told him, you take care of all
that stuff with you.
Yes.
Always. So
he's not a normal, he's not the normal,
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. Let me ask, do you have any daughters?
Yes, I do. She's 30.
All right. So let me close with this. What advice do you give your daughters as it relates to situations like this, Jonathan Majors? They're with a guy who's, emotionally, psychologically abusive.
Yeah. My daughter is real strong too. She's really like non-toxic. She's all into this energy and stuff.
Oh, okay. She's one of those.
So she's one, she's chakras now.
All that, yeah. So she's looking at the moonlight. Yeah.
It don't matter if you're a girl or a boy. She's like, I don't know. Yeah. So she's kind of maybe worse. She doesn't even give you a chance to show out. She doesn't give you a chance to have a problem. I really think she reads too soon.
She reads people well.
Well, reads situations too soon. Like give it a chance.
Oh, I see.
Before you say they don't work, they're not good. No, I didn't want. I didn't like the way they did this.
Have you taught your daughters about how to deal with men and not be physical with men, or what advice you give them in reference to being in physical, like hitting a man and like avoiding, like what did you teach them about that?
I told her, no one should reach out, like no one should, but if you are in a situation, you should protect yourself.
Absolutely.
She's a realtor now, and she doesn't know anything about firearms and stuff. But I told her I wanted to look into maybe finding her something. But I just told her to take care of herself.
Absolutely.
Like always, you don't deserve to be beat up or fighting.
But you don't go tell her to go beat no men, though.
No, you don't. Okay. No, you don't reach out because you don't know which one is gonna reach back.
Facts.
Because these men today, they don't. They
don't care.
Girls. Yeah, they fight. They fight a girl.
Yeah, they do.
Like a girl, another girl.
Like a man, they fight you like a man.
Exactly. So
that's true.
Some men don't. They still got old stuff like don't hit a woman, but it's a lot that hit. I actually broke up a argument today at work at a high school, and the boy was arguing with a girl because he touched her phone, and it was about to pipe up, and then I just walked him out of the cafeteria. So he was he was like,
I knock her out. Yeah. And
I was like, no, you can't say that. You can't do that. And I got him calmed down, but he would have hit her. And then it's a lot. Like I said, nowadays it's a lot. They don't have that old fashioned.
Nah, that stuff out the window now. Everybody keep your hands to yourself. Yeah, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this last one, and I'm gonna shut this down. Do you think Jonathan Majors should be found guilty for what happened?
No. He needs to learn a lesson.
What lesson is that, you think?
Go get ready to go make Apollo 5 and sit down and focus on your work.
Yeah. Leave these women alone, man.
That's what I'm saying for now. Because if you got it, you got it. That's what my son, he's secure.
That's true. Yeah.
In himself. That I can wait to find the right one and involve myself
take your time.
When I have things to offer, like time.
Yeah. Yes.
Because he needs someone in his life, like I said, he's a power man. And he needs a power woman.
A power man needs a strong, supportive woman, not a powerful woman.
Well, no, power is you can conceive and distribute power differently. supporting him in all his endeavors. That's powerful.
It takes a strong woman to deal with a man on his purpose, but a man needs to be on his purpose to have a strong woman. Because if not, then there's gonna be a lot of bumping the heads.
Yeah, and so I want you to go back and watch Say Cheese. I don't know which one it is, but you might probably.
I've seen it. I know which one you're talking about.
Okay,
I've seen it.
Yeah,
I've seen it. But that's why I said I know. I remember that interview he did, but the way you framed it was you were saying it as if black men go date outside because they can't deal with black women because black women are okay. This is a more of black men are going to where it's most peaceful.
Right, and I understand that. And like I said, I work on my peace within, and
you a piece of work though, Deidra. I see it. You piece, all right, a piece of work. Nah, you amazing. I appreciate you so much.
Life, molds you.
Yeah, it'll mold you. It'll humble you.
If you're still working out there in those streets,
hey, whew.
We have the highest number of domestic violence issues because you bring the public, the things you've been involved with in a day, and it's not. I told my fiance that I said we can't bring our work home, because I work with students all day getting in trouble. He's a bondsman, so he deals with judges and court,
all kind of stuff.
People not paying and this and that, and I let him talk. I'm learning. Like I said, I let him. I'm supposed to be there for him to tell me about his bad day,
right,
and allow him to voice it and get it off. But I won't let him take it out on me.
Right.
Now, you can call that hard, but no, that's not the way it works.
Listen, as long as you guys communicate well and you guys support each other, that's what matters.
Stop. You gotta know when to say, "Oh, it's getting," your judgment when you're getting too far. All those things have to be learned. I'm 52.
Yes. So listen, as long as you guys are patient with each other, you genuinely love each other, and you're patient with each other, and you communicate well, everything will be fine. And as long as you're not selfish, right? I think what ends up happening a lot of time is somebody is more selfish than the other. But as long as both of you guys are selfless, you come together and you have these conversations, y'all gonna be fine. Y'all be fine.
Yeah, we work through it for
the
peace of both of our lives,
Okay, that's all that matters right there. Listen, man, as long as it's working for you, that's all that matters. But if you come for the brothers now, I gotta get on you now. You can't become.
I don't come for. He's the same. I'm telling you, he might be your T-shirt.
Oh yeah.
I'll tell you, that's
holla at me. I got these. I will drop the link in the back for y'all to come order one. Listen, I appreciate you so much, Deidra, for coming up, and I thank you for being patient and willing to have the conversation. And so I really appreciate it.
It stopped me when y'all started, because I wasn't following the trial. And then when I saw your video and then I heard you telling the other man that he's gonna get time, that's what made me stop. And I was getting ready to get in the shower and I was like, what? He's gonna get time?
He might get time.
Yeah. And that's what made me come back to the phone, to the police. I was like, what in the world? He ran from her.
It's hard out here for a man.
It is. It's hard. That's why I talk to my son. He's like, but he's not like that. He's like non-confrontational. He's introverted. If he's mad or anything, he does go off to himself. And I told
but the key for us as men is to knowing when to remove ourselves and knowing when to walk away. And I think Jonathan Majors didn't walk away because he was participating in the abuse, right? So he was a participant in the toxicity of the relationship. It wasn't one-sided.
When you're with someone for a long time, everybody has a moment.
Yes.
And you got to learn how to handle it and not hurt each other.
Correct.
Not call, how it is with domestic calls now.
Oh yeah.
They gonna take both of y'all for real.
Yeah.
Here, they don't care. They don't care. So
we do it here too. Yeah, we can't figure it out. If the stories are too crazy, everybody going to jail. Everybody
need to go to work tomorrow.
Jail.
And I need to go to work tomorrow. So
Who gonna watch the kids? I'd be like, D-Facts. So, all right, Miss Deidra, let me let you run. I'm gonna shut it down. It was a pleasure. It was an honor. Thank you for coming up, giving us your insight. My dear. All right. shout out to the kids. I know you did an amazing job. Congratulations on them and the achievements that they're doing as well. And shout out to you for being an amazing mom.
You too.
All right. Have a good night.
Good night.
Deidre's trying to come for the brothers. I couldn't let her do it. I couldn't let her do it. She was trying to hit us with that talk. That was good. That was good. That was good. Where are we at? Shout out to Anthony again, closing us out with the last super chat. Closing us out with the last super chat. Thank you so much, you guys. I really appreciate it. This is a great conversation. We're at the 4-hour mark. I told myself I was going to do 3, but I just love the fact that a lot of people came up and shared their thoughts. We had some great guests come up. That was pretty dope. I like that. Oh man. What are we saying in closing, you guys? In closing, what's the reality? The reality is we had 2 unhealthy people in a relationship who equally participated in this toxic relationship. And unfortunately, because one of them is a celebrity, obviously, it's not a good look. Look here, men, women, this is the facts. The only power you have is the power over yourself. And the only power that other people have on you is the power that you give them. That's a fact. So make sure you understand that. When it comes to these domestic cases, you guys, a lot of us end up giving so much power to our abuser, right? Some of us are spectators in the abuse, and some of us are participants in the abuse. Regardless, please make sure you get help. Talk to someone, share with someone what's going on, and don't be afraid to remove yourself. The moment you start participating and doing the get back and doing the revenge, you've successfully created a toxic relationship. And that's what this was. And ultimately, him being a participant in this has cost him his career. Like, let's not get it twisted. There are other outside forces that influence this horrible conviction, today. And those are things that are outside of your control. And the further you put your power in someone else's control, obviously the less control you're going to have. Meaning, don't get into this stuff in the first place. Just don't. Because there's only so much you have power over. He left his entire future. Well, he left a lot of his future career in the hands of a bunch of strangers, where when it mattered most, he could have kept control over everything when he had the chance. You guys, at the moment you let that thing go, it's a game of chance after that. It's a game of chance. Good question. Anthony says, Nathan, you assume the mixed kid will choose black. What happens to the pigment when the mixed child chooses white? Patrick Mahomes. That's what I think. That's what I was talking about in the terms of endangered. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. You can't pick melanin. Melanin picks you. All right. So I hear what you're saying, but you have people now who, obviously black is not even the correct term. That's a social construct. We're really talking about melanated people. And when you have a melanated person with a non-melanated person come together and have kids, that kid that is born is going to have a little bit of melanin in them. And if that little bit of melanin mixes with some more melanin, they're going to have a little bit more melanin. And you keep doing that enough to where it's all melanin and non-melanin. You can choose to be a representative of whatever ethnic group you want, but people going to look, the eyeball test doesn't lie. The eyeball test doesn't lie. You walk around here with a summertime tan and you say you white, folks going to look at you funny. That's why a lot of people just stick with biracial. The reality is melanin plus non-melanin equals melanin. And it's always going to be that simple. That's biology. That's just biology. Nappy plus straight equals curly. It's just biology, right? I don't make this up, you guys. I don't make it up. Right? Now, you probably can't see what I'm rolling with. Back in the day, okay? Your brother had the waves on him. Nappy plus straight equals curly. Curly plus nappy equals soft naps. Beady beads plus snap. Let me stop. But you get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying. You know. You get what I'm saying. Melanin plus melanin. So I hate this for both of them, Jonathan Majors and Grace. They're both, again, this is a relationship. You know, I think we just hate to see how great he was doing his success. But sometimes we focus so much on the person's success that we forget about who they are as individuals. He is not Kane the Conqueror. He's Jonathan Majors, who has a job in acting and entertaining. He's just a man. She's just a woman. He's just a man that's been idolized. So it hurts us to see such great success and talent go to waste. So much to the point that we think it's because he's Black, which is why he's being attacked this way. That would be a little bit more believable if his pattern and practices don't align with the outcomes of this trial. Like, we got to just keep it real. You're going to be a great man, be a great woman. You have to move in that energy. You have to move in that mentality. Or your past will come and haunt you. One thing I will say, though, to Jonathan Majors, the brother's talented. Even to Grace, you know, I tell this to people who are domestic survivors. This incident doesn't define you. It doesn't define your relationships moving forward with other people. It doesn't define who you are as a person. You can be better, right? The past is in your mind. The future is in your hands. You are responsible. You're responsible. So, with that being said, you guys, thank you so much for tonight. Thank you so much to the moderators. Thank you so much for you guys jumping in. Hit the like button, follow me, like, comment, and share the video. I know this one's a little bit long. We got to put some chapters in this one. But I appreciate you. All those who came up and shared their thoughts, I appreciate it. Shout out to Deidra. She's trying to come for the brothers. I had to shut her down. But I love the conversation. Love the conversation. Everybody brought up some great points. At the end of the day, men and women, protect yourself, make good choices, talk to people, seek the help, because no one should have to subject themselves to any domestic violence, mentally, emotionally, physically. Shoot, now spiritually, I'll be out here acting crazy. All right. With that being said, you guys, let these truths find you where the lies have left you. Good night, and God bless.